Pete Buttigieg is just pretty good, man. Bots are the only Trump supporters I know. Thank you, Christine. Probably. Bernie Sanders will be remembered in history, not for what he stood for, revealing a painful truth. Millions were convinced to vote against their own interests, even as one man fought. I don't know. Bernie did not win because of black voters, which is why AOC has a chance to win. And that's not a bad thing. It's just black voters are the base of the party largely. And you can have every other area of the party, but especially with like South Carolina, Bernie's favorability with women and black voters, especially black women, was really bad. AOC is really good in that area though, so AOC can be really successful there. She matches a lot of demographics that Bernie could not get, but that's the reason Bernie lost. There wasn't really anything else. He could have came closer for sure if they weren't trying to ruin his image and doing constant character assassinations. Then it would have been a little bit better. But I saw that Ben Shapiro talked to Zelensky, huh? Zelensky and Ben Shapiro. I don't think that came out yet. Candace Owens was blasting Trump. Is that not voting against their own interests? I mean, it depends how you look at it. Because, I mean, people don't believe anything Bernie talks about can actually get done. There's a cultural connection that matters, of trust. And sometimes it really is just about, like, how much work you do with different communities, with different stakeholders for them to trust you. You could say voting against their own interests the entire time. You could do that, but politics is about connecting to people. You have to get them to trust you first before you pound them with like policies and everything. You have to do the reaching for their hearts first and then go for the policies and everything. But politics is largely that connection, and then trying to back up that connection with the political capital you have, try to get things done for them. A little complicated. Please drop a like on the stream. AOC definitely has a chance. We have a literal brain dead reality TV star who doesn't know how to tie his own shoes as president right now. You know? He was never successful in business. He's really the scum of the entire earth. You know? You have to choose what you're strong at and really pound that home. I think there's a couple good options Democrats can run with. But the idea that AOC cannot be successful but Trump can is insane. Truly insane. Anyone who thinks that is on something, for real, on something crazy. I mean, good for them that they found some good drugs, but holy crap.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. And let me thank the many of you around the country who have attended the Fighting Oligarchy tours that we have been doing over the last 2 months. As you may know, so far, we've been to Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada, Colorado, and Arizona. And the turnouts,
What are Pete's odds? I think Pete's way too boring, honestly. I think Pete's way too boring, not gonna lie. He needs someone else to balance it out. I could see him being, I don't know, I just think he's too boring. He'd be really good on podcasts to be like a moderating voice, but I think what's happening right now in America is going to be too fragmented as far as like what's going to survive of democratic norms. And we're going to need an actual mass movement of people. We need someone who's going to get people really inspired and passionate and be able to wield power and influence in a way that's outside of our institutions. And Pete does not do that. Pete cannot get a huge crowd. He cannot. I think he's really impressive in the conversational setting, but I think he should stick to what he's good at. And it's not going to be rallies. It's not going to be leading a campaign. But he could be really good. He doesn't need to be president, though. Oopsies. He should have ran for Michigan or something, honestly.
very happy to tell you, I've been extraordinary. Well over 100,000 people combined have come out.
Everyone should do what they're good at, okay? Everyone should do what they're good at. Whoever wins the primary, hopefully it's someone decent. We'll go with them. It doesn't, yeah.
And Republicans, surprise, surprise, are taking notice. They are quite concerned. Both Trump and Musk have had to respond, and not surprisingly, they've responded with lies.
Is Trump really doing a rally in Michigan, too? Is Trump going to do a rally in Michigan?
Mr. Musk claimed that many of the 34,000...
Pete is very milk toast. Thank you for saying milk toast. Milk toast. I wonder how milk toast would take.
People who came out to our Denver rally were paid organizers, and Trump was busy boasting falsely that his turnout...
Such a funny word. Such a funny phrase, milk toast. Is that an actual meal? Milk toast.
Were
I feel like it's like
larger
an old
than
meal,
ours.
like a
Not
Great
quite the
Depression
case.
meal. You just put milk on toast.
On Saturday, this Saturday, the next phase of the Fighting Oligarchy tour begins. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and I will be starting off in Los Angeles. We'll then
From
be
a little bit
going.
ago, AOC and Bernie at the same time. Trump's picks are 100 times he the best. Oh yeah, I had a good line for Pete. You know how Pete Hegseth got the medicine cabinet? It's about how like Pete Hegseth wanted to ban all the trans military members so he can make room for himself. He wanted to put makeup on, look all pretty, pretty Pete, powdered face, proud boy. Pretty Pete, proud boy. Pretty Pete, proud boy, powdered face. The boys, stunt actor looking. Pete, pretty Hegseth. We got Pistol Pete Buttigieg on our side. We got Pistol Pete Buttigieg. Meanwhile, they got pretty powdered Pete, proud boy. It's so sad. Imagine having to defend Pete Hegseth. Imagine, bro. That's so painful. I'm so sorry for y'all. I'm so sorry y'all got to go through that. Like, he's really just awesome. I love him. They should not fire him. Keep Pete Hegseth around, guys. Keep him around. He's gonna win you the everything. Okay, Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth.
Want to say, sir, about this chat controversy?
You know what a big.
Bro. Okay. I'm not gonna say he sounds drunk here, but I'll just say I grew up around a lot of alcoholics, and they sound better than this.
Want to say, sir, about this signal chat controversy?
You know what a big surprise that a few leakers get fired and suddenly a bunch of hit pieces come out from the same media.
You know that Pete Hegseth hired these people? They were Pete Hegseth's like best friends for years, and he's calling them leakers, random leakers from the Pentagon. They're his best friends, by the way, his best friends. They said they only left because he is gonna make their leader Trump look bad. They left because they said Pete's gonna make Trump look bad. Okay? You're gonna make dear leader look bad. They're Pete's friends he's talking about. Remember that.
A few leakers get fired and suddenly a bunch of hit pieces come out from the same media that peddled the Russia hoax. Won't give back their Pulitzers. They got Pulitzers for a bunch of lies. And on hoaxes, time and time again. And as they peddle those lies, no one ever calls them on it. See, this is what the media does. They take anonymous.
This is what the media does. They take anonymous sources, all these hoaxers in Russia, and DEI woke.
From disgruntled former employees.
And former employees. I love the kids. I saw this all over social media, bro. I love the kids.
Try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputation.
Employees.
Not going to work with me.
Not going to work with me, buddy.
Changing the Defense Department.
Not so fast.
Putting the Pentagon back in the hands of warfighters. And anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter. So I'm happy to be here at the Easter egg roll with my dad and my kids. Because, this is what we're doing.
With my dad. Dude, he points to the kids, the prized kids, the human shields. He sees the kids. He's like, all right, escape route. This is who we do it for right here. This is who we do. It sounds like it's literally a scene out of The Boys, bro. The Boys TV show. Literally a scene out of it.
Doesn't matter. So I'm happy to be here at the Easter egg roll with my dad and my kids.
My dad.
Because, this is
the
what
kids.
we're doing it for.
We're doing it for the kids. That's how drunk guys talk, bro. I'm just saying. This is who we do it for. This right here. We do it for them.
This is why we're fighting the fake news media. This is why we're fighting slash and burn Democrats. This is why we're fighting hoaxsters. This group, this group right here, full of hoaxsters that peddle anonymous sources from leakers with access to grind, and then you put it all together as if it's some news story. And when we know exactly what it is. So I'm really proud of what we're doing.
Yes, bro.
And for the president,
Dad's drunk
hard
again.
Across
He's
the
drunk
board,
again.
I'm going to go roll some Easter eggs with my kids. Thank you very much.
That was awesome. That's good stuff. I think Republicans should keep Pete Hegseth on the team. He's really good for you. Okay, keep Pete Hegseth on there. He is very good on camera. He's going to help your popularity. Trump's at all-time low approval ratings for Trump, and we got to keep on doing that. So keep Pete Hegseth on board. Love this guy. Love this freaking guy, dude.
The White House maintains.
Holy crap. You're doing great. He is doing great. Is he talking here?
It's major.
I can't believe you got a makeup cabinet installed, bro. A makeup cabinet installed. Why does he need makeup? I thought he's here to do war fighting. Also, I love the insistence in calling it. They have to call it war fighting, right? Why do they need to call it war fighting? You know, it's called the Department of Defense because we're like, hey, we don't want to be war fighters. We don't want to like get our people into wars, but we have to call them war fighters now. The anti-war administration. Meanwhile, they're bombing countries all over the globe, threatening to invade Greenland and Mexico and Canada, threatening war with Iran and bombing Yemen constantly. You know, they're war fighters. Why can't we just call them troops or the military? Why can't we just call them defense? Why does it need to be war fighters, dude? War fighters. We're war fighters, dude. It's so sad. So sad, bro. I wonder how people in the military feel when their leader is such a F up, you know? Because the troops right now are being court-martialed for 1/100th of what Pete Hegseth is doing. They're getting arrested, essentially, and thrown into jail for hours or days or weeks or months for doing 1/100th of what Pete Hegseth has done. If any normal person working in the DOD or in the Pentagon did what Hegseth did so far, they would literally be arrested, tried criminally. It's wild, the standards that change when people are just partisan hacks. Covers alcohol. No, oh my God. Covers alcohol nose.
If this was actually about government efficiency, then the problem you would be solving, which is a real problem, is that in the federal government.
Drop a like on the stream. People got to get on Discord. I wish they would get on Discord or something. You know, no one wants to get on Discord. It's hard to get people to talk nowadays. I'm going to have to find some people to debate. I'm going to have to find some other channels to invite on here. It's really hard doing this channel when everyone's so scared to call in. It's crazy. It's kind of crazy, brother. Then I just go through videos randomly. No one's going to talk to me. No one loves me. No one wants to hear about the facts, about the truth. They want to live in La La Land, bro. They want to live in La La Land. Pete Hegseth. Pretty Pete. Proud Boy. Powdered face. Whew, crazy.
It is too hard to reward your top performers. So you could be somebody who could be commanding a multi-million-dollar salary in the private sector, working on something wildly important, but there's just no way that you're getting, you know, you're in.
Who are these people? MAGA is cowardly. They are cowardly. Trump hates America. Oh, Pete looks good with a stash. Ooh, Kev doesn't know anything. If he did, he'd call in. That is true. Kev does not know much. It's okay though. Join the World of Tanks Discord. Trump is the only one with TDS, tiny, you know what syndrome. You are literally La La Land. That's amazing, brother. I'm sorry that you have issues in the bedroom. Try Viagra. It'll help you. Promise.
In your particular pay grade, same as everybody else.
How do you know Pete Hegseth is drunk all the time? Do you hear him talking? Do you hear Pete Hegseth when he's talking? You hear Trump when he's talking? Did Trump tell someone to shut up today about egg prices? I'm pretty sure I saw that on Twitter. I'm not sure if it's true. Or he says, like, leave me alone. Wait, leave me alone. Did Trump say leave me alone? There's no way in hell. There's no way.
Started screaming at me that eggs, that I was president. Somebody started screaming at me that eggs are up. I said,
Yeah, so eggs right now are at their all-time high price. Like eggs right now cost more than they have in American history. And I saw Trump say they're down 94%, like 94% price. They're down 94%, but they're still like $5 a dozen, the cheapest I can find. Most are $7 a dozen. Trump said they're at the lowest level of all time, and they're at the highest because reality doesn't matter. Apparently, Donald Trump told someone, leave me alone about egg prices.
That I was president, somebody started screaming at me that eggs are up. I said, I just got here. And in the first week, they were going crazy. You remember that, Linda? Yes. They were going crazy. They're saying, egg prices are too. I said, I'm here for 1 week. Just leave me alone. This is the fake news media.
Leave me alone. Fake news media. He said egg prices are down 94%. Meanwhile, they're at their all-time high. Egg prices are more expensive now than ever before in American history. Leave me alone, the fake news media, as he's lying about basic fact. Remember, the final, most essential command was to not believe the evidence that your own eyeballs are telling you. Whatever 1984 said. George Orwell, by the way, the writer, is a democratic socialist. He's a socialist, a democratic socialist, like Bernie Sanders, the writer of 1984. For anyone that wants to know. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Imagine if a Democrat said, leave me alone about eggs or groceries or whatever. Republicans would start peeing their pants all day. Holy crap. But yeah, Donald Trump, his skin color changed back to pale. The Babylon Bee has been dropping some pretty good memes lately. So they're usually bad, like just right-wing memes, which are terrible. Because right-wing memes are like, haha, woke pronoun, go beta, male, DEI, haha. But this one's actually kind of good. Trump's skin returns to normal human color after ban on artificial dyes. Like, that's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, we'll take that. We will take that. That one's awesome. Behind closed doors, Pope is still focused, sharp, and energetic. See, that's a Biden meme. I appreciate that. That's a good Biden meme. It's a good Biden meme. Good Biden meme. See, this one's about leftists crying. Tesla dealership disguised as IRS. There's some good ones attacking the right, though. The ones attacking the left are just like husband solemnly informs wife they must do their part to help the nation's failing birth rate. Like, how is this even like funny? Like, all the ones that are making fun of all the ones that make fun of the right wing are so stupid, or I mean the left wing is so stupid. They're so stupid, they're forced. But then the ones making fun of the right wing, it's like Easter Bunny dead after meeting with JD Vance. Like, these are actual, like, that's actually decent. White House tells Americans to reply stop if they no longer wish to receive hate text about upcoming military strikes. Like, that's another good one. Like, there's some good ones. Whenever they like disagree with their own side, they're funny. Because it's probably actual funny jokes. But meanwhile, when it's about Democrats, they're just making a political statement. $10, 18 extra large. Another lie, eggs are down. Yeah, dude. I don't have the internet or eyeballs. I cannot go in person to grocery stores anywhere. And we have a lot of farms around here too. So we have farms making their own eggs and selling them, and they're still high because everyone needs to buy eggs now because all the chickens are freaking dead from Trump. Not following the bird flu at all. Trump's approval's in the 44s already. 44. I saw one at 40%. So his approvals are collapsing. So that's pretty good. But yeah, if we don't get any viewers here, I can't really do the stream. Remember that. 44% is still high. Yeah, once we get to the 30s, then we'll be talking. We gotta get to the 30s. Here we go. I'm gonna close out this stream and do like we are going up slowly. Maybe if we get a caller soon, it can be okay. Our click-through is pretty good. But funny how nobody cares that Ukraine bought Joe with tax money. Wow, I wish that were true. I wish you were not literally brain dead. You child that can't read anything. Holy crap. Do you just believe whatever you hear on the internet? Wait. It looks like the Justice Department intended to file a letter to Judge Lyman and MTA versus Duffy, but accidentally filed a letter containing its legal advice to the Department of Transportation instead. Oh, it's unlikely that Judge Lehman or further courts or review will accept the argument that CPDTP was not a statutorily authorized value pricing pilot under the value pricing pilot program. So that's awesome. The court is unlikely. They sent them a whole list on what the court is going to accept or not, but they sent it to the court. That's awesome, bro. DEI made us incompetent. Okay. DEI made us incompetent. Now we are competent again. Okay. Now we are so competent. Thank God wokeness is gone. Wokeness was killing America. Thank God. Holy crap. This is awesome. This is awesome, bro. This is awesome. Just curious, are you still a barred lawyer? My ethics would not allow me to post something that was obviously filed by mistake and already gone from the docket. Oh, ethics matter right now, dude. Ethics. The president wants to defy law and the Constitution. And we're talking about ethics? We're talking about ethics. Okay. Also, I love this, bro. President Trump signs an executive order to modernize workforce programs, preparing Americans for high-paying, skilled trade jobs, and refocusing youth on career participation or preparation. America first. You realize this is a virtue signal. He's signing a virtue signal. Like, this does nothing. An executive order is like a memo. You're saying you want this to happen. He's done no work at all this entire presidency except to do virtue signals. What does this do? You proclaimed you want something. Great job. You identify as it. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about you?
Doing good. I was just surfing through and I made some comment about the eggs thing, and one of your followers said call in, so I figured, hey, I'll call in.
Nice.
Yeah, man. So this may be a little odd to you. I'm not sure just based on like the typical internet and political climate. One thing I'm not going to do is pretend that I know everything and that I'm an expert, and that I'm an authority on all this subject matter, which I find to be kind of the normal position of people in our society, especially when we're talking about politics. What I will do, though, is listen to your points, hear you out, and probably push back a little bit on some of my ideas without demanding that I'm right about everything that I say or think. What do you think about that?
Sounds good. Yeah, what do you want to chat about for the main thing?
Well, I just came across your, because now I'm calling on my phone, so I can't see it, but you said Trump hates America, right? That's like your thesis or your argument?
Yeah, I think the only thing Trump likes is himself, but he seems to really not like American values.
Okay. First off, I will say that I'm not like a major Trump supporter. I don't think he's like a wonderful human being. He claims to be a Christian, and I don't see Christian values portrayed from him most of the time. But what my general viewpoint is that what I see from the left and the Democratic Party is just a lack of connection with objective reality. I mean, there's a lot of different, I guess, points that I could make about that, but I guess what I'm getting at is I think a lot of people are not so much supportive of Trump or the Republicans, but they're just tired of the crazy, ridiculous statements, attitudes, and positions of the left.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you can go through some statements from the left. I'll just say, like, for Trump, some ones I could bring up that are kind of crazy are, like, invading Greenland. The idea that egg prices are down 94%. He said gas prices are below $2 when they were the lowest nationwide was $2.70. He said a lot of crazy things. He said that it's Ukraine's fault for fighting Russia when Russia invaded Ukraine. He has a meme coin that he's probably doing the biggest corruption scandal in American history with. But yeah, I guess Democrats do talk about pronouns, but you can tell me what Democrats say that you think is like disconnected or super crazy.
Yeah, I mean, just from the list that you just gave, and like this is an area where I'm assuming you have extensive knowledge or prowess. I mean, you're talking about eggs and gas prices and apparent misinformation. I mean, to me, that sounds very nominal and pretty much on par with any politician we could ever think of. I don't care what president you want to refer to. There's nothing inherently drastic or ridiculous or different, assuming what you're saying is right, because I'll just defer to that being right, which I don't know for sure, but let's just assume it is. How is that even that big of a deal or that different from any politician or any statements that any of them have ever made historically or currently? And to your point about the meme coin, again, something I'm not that familiar with, but let's just assume that you're right about that too. The biggest scandal in American history, I mean, that right there, like, really loses a lot of credibility to any logical thinker.
How do you know? You just admit you don't know about it. How can you make any statements about logic if you don't know about the situation? That seems pretty misguided.
Based on the limited knowledge that I do have. And
well,
I said
it's a untraceable crypto coin, and I'll just tell you one piece of information. It's untraceable crypto coin. He launched it to coincide with his inauguration, and now he's saying there's going to be a special dinner that if you're a top 220 funder of the coin, you're going to be invited to the special dinner with a one-way ticket to the U.S. president. Anyone can donate to this from anywhere in the world. untraceable. And if you get on this special list, apparently you get favorability in our political process. There's no big money scandal, no corruption scandal in American history you can point to that's worth billions and billions and billions of dollars directly to the president profiting from the presidency. And we could talk at a later date about that, but I would ask you to look into that more because it's a big deal. But like I'll just say compared to other politicians, you said, you know, anything Trump says is not that much different from other politicians. Trump this term, you know, is crazier than Trump won. Like he disagrees with his Trump won. Like right now he's going to battle with the Supreme Court and the Constitution. His own justices he appointed, all three of them are voting against him. And he's saying they're liberal Marxist judges. It's just like he disagrees with himself. He's even crazier than Trump number one. So I don't even know what you can make a point of there.
What was the last thing? You don't even know what?
What you can make a point of if he views his first term as not nearly radical enough, if he thinks the Supreme Court is Marxists that are against him and they have judicial tyranny, there is no one I could even point to that would ever like go against his own appointees that drastically. It just seems like he's pretty unhinged.
Okay, I'm willing to entertain this. I mean, there's a number of people that I'm friends with in my family that seem to be thoroughly against him in general. Again, on a personal level, his personality doesn't really jive with me. I don't see the humility that I would hope for, amongst a number of other things. So I'm open to these ideas, but what other than your claims about him having apparent misinformation on eggs and gas prices, and according to you, this massive scandal on a crypto coin or whatever that I will look into, and hopefully once I do, we can follow up about it. What about him? Why is he so diabolical to you? Why does he hate America so bad beyond apparent misinformation about eggs and gas and your viewpoint that he's got a scandal going on with his cryptocurrency? And how are those things or other things that you would postulate about the situation vastly different from any other of our corrupt politicians or presidents?
Well, he wants to send U.S. citizens to El Salvador for prison, which I'm pretty sure is the worst thing any president has done in probably over 200 years. He wants to violate due process. He says the Supreme Court's 9-0 ruling is in his favor when it's completely against him. And it's not even just a lie.
He's one at a time, because otherwise, okay, what's the point? So he wants to send American citizens to prison in El Salvador.
Yeah,
that was the first point.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Do you want to give like context as to why this is such a diabolical decision, or the details, because it's a very general statement?
Because if a president wants to bypass all of our laws to send U.S. citizens to a labor camp in El Salvador and then wash his hands of the situation, saying it's a foreign policy issue, it violates everything America stands for. It opens the door for targeting political opponents, putting them in a position that's, you can't recover from. If you're going to violate laws to that extent where you need to pay El Salvador to take American citizens, honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. It's hard for me to argue at this point, because it's hard to even fathom that an American would be okay with a president saying that. But I mean, we could talk about also the Supreme Court.
If there's context that just inherently using another country's prison system objectively in and of itself doesn't sound, what that in and of itself does not sound necessarily terrible to me. Prisons are terrible in general. If someone goes to prison in a justified sense, whether they're on American soil or El Salvadorian soil or somewhere else, without any other context or detail, that doesn't necessarily sound inherently bad. What is inherently bad about the prison being in a different country is my question.
Well, there is no law for exiling people or deporting citizens. That's one thing for crimes, especially to a labor camp in El Salvador, which is a labor camp. You're there for your entire life. It's essentially slavery. It is slavery by definition. You're there. You're tortured until you basically bleed out or die or starve to death. And yeah, just a U.S. president saying we're going to deport American citizens. I'm not okay with them sending immigrants there, even criminal immigrants. I don't know why we'd pay another country and send our dollars to El Salvador instead of paying Americans. And like, yeah, I just think it's bad for a president to. It's just not lawful at all. And sending American citizens there again, it gives the U.S. government the power to target people and to ship them off to a different country for prison. It just has such enormous potential for abuse and authoritarian overreach. A president even wanting to do that, even Trump's like most ardent supporters are speaking out against that. I think only 5 to 10% of Americans agree with it, and that's a good thing. It might be 20% because Trump runs a mini cult. But yeah, it's a huge abuse of office, and yeah, and any president to even suggest that, any other president other than Trump would be impeached. He would have been removed from office for saying that alone versus the other 500 things.
Okay, because I was aware of the deportations of apparently like gang members and things like this. I was not aware of actual American citizens. Who are they? Do you have any names of at least any of them? Like, who are these
He just
people?
said he wants to. He told El Salvador to build more prisons to take citizens. And like they already violated laws. That's why that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is in the news, because they violated a legal order to not send him to El Salvador. So if they can violate the laws for that person, they can violate the laws for anyone.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, but we're just talking about a theoretical possibility of something that he said he wants to do, but has not actually done any of it.
I don't know. How can I?
Right? That's what you just said. I mean, he's literally just
It's
saying...
bad that he's telling El Salvador, which takes money from the U.S. government, to build prisons for U.S. citizens. Yes, it's bad that he's doing that, to tell them to build labor camps for U.S. citizens. That's like no president, and I think in history, whether it's 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, would have been okay with that. Our country was founded on the king in England doing that to people, which is why we left and why we wrote the Declaration of Independence. It's in our Declaration of Independence that the king would send people to foreign jails without due process, and that's in our Declaration of Independence for a reason. When the president is talking about that, when he's already violating due process and he's sending immigrants and calling them gang members without any proof, and he's sending them to El Salvador labor camps, it's just like it's hard for me to. You don't think that's bad? Like the stuff he's already doing with the immigrants, or
if what you were saying it were a reality and all of those details and context were actually happening, then I think you would have a leg to stand on, and I might actually concur. But if you're talking about something that the guy said and none of it has actually even happened, and then some of your follow-up context saying things like there's no actual proof, I mean, anyone on here, even people that agree with you, knows that that's absolutely not true. The people that he's deported, there's obviously, maybe there's been some mistakes, or maybe he was wrong about some of it.
You know the numbers by chance of the of not even deportations, but like, okay, so for example, only 25% of the people sent to the El Salvador labor camp have criminal records. We knowingly sent a gay barber there who was seeking asylum. We sent a professional soccer player there who went through the legal process to seek asylum in the U.S. after being electrically tortured by Venezuela. He made it to America. ICE wrongly sent him to El Salvador. We lost a 19-year-old there that they accidentally took. So there have been numerous cases, and you just have a gap in knowledge here. And like the Kilmar Abrego Garcia, there's still no proof of him being in a gang. Trump's own DOJ in 2019 could not confirm that he was a member of a gang. That's why they let him. That's why they let him stay here. And also, like sending him to El Salvador was illegal, flatly illegal. Trump's own administration admit it was illegal. There was a legal order to not send him to specifically El Salvador. for any reason, let alone a labor camp. So that was flatly illegal. And the thinking is, okay, the argument the Trump administration made was once they deport someone or once they abduct someone and send them to this labor camp in El Salvador, they said it's beyond their control. They said this person can now stay in El Salvador no matter what, because now it's a foreign policy matter. He's under the control of El Salvador. So if they can illegally violate due process, illegally violate court orders to send like an immigrant there and just say they're a terrorist based off of nothing, the legal precedent that they are arguing would allow them to do the same thing to American citizens. And Trump is already doing illegal things. The Supreme Court ruled 9-0 that he's violating due process, and they ruled 9-0 that he needs to facilitate their facilitate the return of the Kilmar Abrego Garcia guy. But Trump thinks they ruled 9-0 in his favor because he's a senile old asshole.
Okay. So, I mean, you're right about the gap in knowledge, but the specific thing that I mentioned, I think what I was saying is to make a blanket statement that regarding all of the people that have been deported, that there's no proof of wrongdoing.
I didn't say all. I said there are people being sent there that there is no proof. There's multiple people we know are innocent, who are not gang members, who are fleeing gang violence that were sent there. Mm-hmm. We know that for a fact. And the Trump administration has lied about all of them, saying they're gang members, illegal terrorists, MS-13, rapists, child abusers, wife beaters, whatever, to demonize their characters, to say it's okay. And even if they were, by the way, even if they were, them not having even a second in front of even an immigration judge, it is still a huge problem with due process. And like an immigration judge is different from a judge that would send you to a labor camp in El Salvador. So even if immigration courts are less of a threshold to deport someone, sending someone to a labor camp in El Salvador should be a much higher standard of due process. And Trump violated it. Again, Supreme Court agrees, 9-0, even Trump's own justices, even the very conservative Alito and Thomas. So yeah, and Trump has laughed at their court order, Trump has laughed at them so far, and has already violated multiple court orders. They've called for like dissolving the Supreme Court. Like it's a lot of bad stuff that's happened already. The U.S. government has been doing a lot of bad things on behalf of Trump with the Alien Enemies Act.
Okay, so it did sound like you said that what I said you said earlier, but what you're saying is no, that some of the people actually are criminals. Some of them have actually done some pretty atrocious things. I don't know, things like rape, murder, the list goes on. And then some of them maybe haven't. Some of them maybe are innocent, and this experience has come down on them improperly. So it sounds like some of both. I guess my question to you would be, what do you propose his motive is? Why is he doing these terrible things from your viewpoint? What does he gain out of that?
There's one thing someone added in chat. There are kids right now being forced to see a judge with no lawyer or no parents. So that's the thing to Google too. A bunch of kids that have zero representation. They have to represent themselves in court. As far as Trump's motivation, I think he's a very power hungry person. He wants control. He has complimented the Russia. He's complimented the Chinese Communist Party. He has complimented North Korea for ruling over the people with an iron fist. He has always fantasized about being more of a dictator type. He has said things that are like, at least, he said he wants to make America more like El Salvador and more like Hungary. They said this during the campaign. And he loves abusing people. He loves controlling people. He loves manipulating people. He wants as much power as humanly possible. So I think that's Trump's motivation. I think he loves being a special boy on the chair everyone can congratulate. That's why they need to all give him like a foot rub whenever they talk to him. But yeah, I
think you sort of fulfill some of those things when you become the president. I think he's sort of fulfilled. I mean, I'm not arguing maybe he is some sort of narcissist or egomaniac, but when you become a multi-billionaire, when you become a president, I don't think that, sending innocent people to El Salvador really adds much. So
it does add more, because once you get rich, you need more of a high. That's why P. Diddy does his parties. That's why Jeffrey Epstein did his stuff, because powerful people want to use more power and they want to find more power. Typically, many of them do. whether it's new business, whether it's with new women, whether it's with whoever. So like the idea that powerful people, and Trump, who spent his entire life cheating on his wives and forcing his friends' wives to have sex with him, and fantasizing about having sex with his own daughter on camera, on TV shows and stuff, like the fact that that person who chased nothing but gluttony and casinos, and he wants to build a casino in Palestine, he calls it a real estate opportunity. The fact that that person would not want more power is frankly insane.
Well, I'm not saying he doesn't want more power. I'm just saying you psychoanalyzing this person that you've never met, you've never spoke to. I'm guessing you don't have professional credentials to do so. And that being the basis of your argument for his motive, I think to me comes off more personal and emotional, and sort of trying to intellectualize.
I'm sorry, but you have given me zero arguments and zero facts this entire conversation. You just sound like someone who's just waiting along in the wind right now. Like you have nothing to bring me. You have no ideas that are backed up by any fact. You're saying that I'm emotional and that I have points that are disconnected from reality. You're the most disconnected from reality person I've ever talked to. Like you need to do some work to improve yourself. Like no, you need to do some work to improve yourself. You sound like a very unintelligent person who just has not done the work at all. You have to do the work.
Why are you getting?
Because you need to do some work. I'm sick of people not taking any personal responsibility, not doing the work. I'm sick of people sounding like idiots when they're not idiots. Do some work and educate yourself. You have to figure this shit out because you have to know some of it, or this country's gonna go to shit. If you care about this country, educate yourself. It's really sad. It's pathetic.
Dude, take a deep breath, man. Take a deep breath.
It's pathetic. No, my country is falling apart because of people like you. You need to do some work. I need you to help pull your weight. Pull your damn weight. You have nothing. You have zero facts to bring me. Pull your damn weight. If you have a political opinion, have some facts with you.
Listen, I can pull up any sort of statistics that I want, and I can use them to fortify my own narrative the way that you are. So me talking to you like a normal human being and not just another robot.
No, you sound like a robot.
Look,
I feel like I'm talking to ChatGPT. You don't have facts on you. No, because you don't. Okay, name one policy you like from Trump.
Dude, I can take 5 seconds right now and Google anything I want.
Name one policy you like from Trump. Name one policy you like from Trump.
How about you let me speak for a second?
Okay, name one policy you like from Trump.
30 seconds straight on a personal attack.
Okay, you don't have to whine. Just tell me what you like about Trump. Name one policy. You're continuing to whine. I'm letting you talk. Stop whining. Stop whining. Stop whining. Bro, stop crying. You came unprepared. Stop crying.
Whining while
stop crying, bro. Talk. It's your turn to talk. Talk. Stop crying.
You're interrupting.
You're projecting. Okay, talk. It's your turn.
So stop and let me speak.
Mm-hmm.
So before you sort of got a little unhinged because something I said rubbed you the wrong way, which I think it was something about being emotional. What I'm telling you is pulling up so-called statistics or facts, as you put it, that I can pull up on a Google search or ChatGPT in 5 seconds and regurgitate them does not somehow make my position any more valid.
Okay, I'm going to close my eyes. Name one policy from Trump you like. I'm going to close my eyes so I can't Google anything. Okay, name one policy you like from Trump.
I will do it when I'm finished making my point.
Can you stop being such a whiner, bro? Like, seriously, name something you like about Trump. Name something you like. Name one policy. Name one policy. Name one policy. Name one anything.
In control of my speech. You don't tell me.
You're such a baby. Stop crying. You're not in control of my speech. What do you think this is? Stop crying. Tell me what you like. Tell me a policy you like about Trump.
What I say and when I
Dude, I'm not trying to control you. I'm asking you to have a conversation with me like an adult.
I'm trying.
Stop crying. You're such a whiny baby. Shut up. Name one policy you like from Trump.
You're not, dude. You're not gonna.
You're such a cry. Can you stop crying? Can you stop crying? Stop crying. It's okay. Just tell me one policy you like from Trump. Name one fact. Name one policy. I'll close my eyes. Name one policy.
Interrupt all you want. It's not going to throw me off.
You're not saying anything. Name one policy that you like from Trump. Name one thing. Name one thing he did that you like.
A policy when I'm ready to and when I want to.
Oh, that's so sweet. I have to. Okay, when you're ready, honey. When you're ready, honey.
If you're going to interrupt and be volatile and emotional, then I'm not going to continue the dialogue.
Because you don't know a policy. You don't know one thing Trump did good because you're emotional. You don't know anything about any of this shit.
How about this? I'll list 10 of them. But I will do it when I want to, not when you demand that I do.
Are you a communist? Are you a communist?
No.
You sound like the most woke communist from a college campus I ever spoke to. You have all feelings, no fact. Like, can you get to one thing that affects the real world?
Don't allow me to speak. You want to try to control my
Again, you
speech.
sound like a communist on a college campus. You sound like a dumb, a whiny, woke protester. Name
like
a fact about the real world, brother. I'm trying to have a real
80% of
conversation.
the
People are
things I
dying out
say
here. People are
about-
losing their homes. People are losing
Listen,
jobs. I
man.
want to know what policies affect the real world.
You're either give me an opportunity to speak, or we can.
Because you're whining. You're whining. Just name a policy that affects the real world. Okay, I'll give you a chance. Name some stuff that affects the real world. Okay, name some stuff about the real world that Trump is
Are
doing,
you going
and
to
we
let
can
me
talk about it.
speak, or are we going to end the conversation? I got like 5 to 10 more seconds for that opportunity, or I'm going to.
You're even going to count down? Woke
just-
schooled. Oh my goodness.
Are you or not? I will assume that you will. If you interrupt again, then I'm just going to end it. I think what happened is I'm trying to have a normal human conversation with someone. I think it's perfectly fine that we don't see things exactly eye to eye. If you have a certain style of communication that you believe that citing specific statistics or quote unquote facts is somehow more compelling, and that's what you believe in and that works for you, that's fine. I can do that to the extent I want to and when I want to, but my point was calling into you to have a human conversation, two people talking, sharing some of their perspectives, trading some ideas, analyzing it a bit, and seeing where we might be able to possibly see some things eye to eye. But getting into this sort of like childish debate and personal attacks, when you're talking about why our country is going to hell, this is exactly why. Because
you're an offended baby? That's why?
Oh, see, that's what I'm saying. Like that's a personal attack.
I want to talk about policies that are affecting people. You just want to talk about the conversation. Like, name something about the real world. That's what the show's about.
Okay, so let me do a quick Google search.
No, you should have a policy on mind that you like or don't like about someone. Like, what policies do you not like from Democrats? Just name one.
I should do exactly what I'm doing. Which, by the way, I'm not even like a big Trump supporter. Dude, you gotta mature, man. You're talking about being a baby. You're like laughing and doing.
Bro, if you keep on crying about the conversation, I want to talk about the real world politics and how it affects people. Bring up one thing about the real world.
Okay.
There's people that need help out here.
Shut your mouth and listen.
Oh, shut your mouth and listen.
Job Act 2017 reduced corporate tax from 35% to 21%, created opportunity zones to attract investment.
Am I talking to an AI bot right now? Are you an AI bot?
Oh my God, dude. I literally just said I was going to Google search it for you. No, you don't want to have a conversation. You just want to be right.
You are reading a web page. I want to talk to you. You are reading off a web page. You are literally reading off a web page.
I came into the conversation and said, I don't have this shit memorized.
Then why argue about this stuff, or why call in to talk about the stuff you don't know about?
You want to regurgitate trivial information that you believe is so-called fact.
I'm a policy expert. I know about policy. I'm a literal trained I am trained in policy. Like I am
very well trained by any means.
I'm not just saying random stats. I'm saying real world stats affecting people. I'm sorry that it makes you upset to talk about those, but just do some homework. It's fine. I believe in you.
Asked for, and then you tried to attack me and invalidate me because
okay. Just before I go, like, you are really amazing, okay? And you have your fun conversations, and if you don't have any problems that affect you from politics, don't talk about it. Just go have a fun life. Like, you obviously have a very pampered background, and if you don't have any political issues you could bring up that you like about a politician that you don't like about Democrats or Republicans, you should have something that affects you. Or you're just in politics as a spectator. Go watch ESPN, bro. You have the ESPN level commentary because it affects you as much as sports do. Go read up the Shannon Sharp scandal. Okay, someone else. Like, that's actually kind of sad, bro. I thought you wanted to have a conversation. Let me read from the webpage. The Tax and Jobs Act from 2017 is a policy that lowered. It's like, that's not even a conversation. That's just a. I don't even know what that is. Bad, brother. I'm sorry. It smells like straight cow shit outside, bro. It smells like straight cow shit. Holy, oh my god, it smells so bad outside. Holy crap. Oh my god. Hello. Howdy.
Quite frankly, I don't like that you don't like me. I don't know why you don't like me. You don't like me because I'm friends with Elon,
Baby
and it makes you mad.
girl, you're my whole world. Okay. 1 second. I'm restarting the YouTube Shorts. Hopefully we get some viewers. 1 second. Let me restart the YouTube Shorts. I have 2 streams going. YouTube Shorts, a horizontal stream on the same channel. Jolah Talks Politics. I'm gonna redo the YouTube Shorts, see if we get more viewers. You can call in if you're waiting to call in. Call in 2 seconds. But yeah, let's try this. Do this. Let's try it. 1 second. Here we go again. Here we go again. You're my friend. Here we go again. Okay, it smells like crazy cow manure outside. Holy crap. I was getting a headache. Jeez, I thought someone was smoking outside, dude. What the hell? It smells so bad outside. Ew. I hate that smell, bro. Oh, my head hurts thinking about it. Holy crap, dude, it smells. Wow. Friggin' stinks.
Hi, you've reached John Tappan.
No. I called you again, buddy. You were calling. Man, why are you so mad? Please understand. I do want you as a fan. The fact you can't even have a conversation is like insane, and like this is why like Democrats like lose, is because like you guys like howdy.
How we doing?
I'm doing all right. It smells like cow manure. It smells like cow shit outside, and it's making me upset, but I'm doing all right.
Gotcha.
How about you?
Gotcha. So how do you pronounce your name?
Jolah.
Jolah? Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure I got that right. Okay.
Thank you.
So you say Trump is bad?
Yeah, I think across the board, every metric, pretty bad. Yeah.
For in what specific metric of what? His immigration policy, his tax policy, his
so a couple of different ways. So the economy right now is shrinking. It was going to be growing at this point if Trump didn't do his unforced error, that is the tariffs. He's very stubborn. He's a baby boy. He is angry with the Supreme Court's 9-0 ruling about due process. He hates due process, which is pretty un-American, I think, and also deporting so many innocent people with no due process to El Salvador, I think, is pretty disgusting. Locking up college kids for their speech for thought crimes seems pretty authoritarian. Beating up like tourists, the ICE is doing that more so nowadays, and we're losing revenue from travel by like 20 or 30% reductions from Europe and Canada and other countries around the world. So we're taking a pretty big hit across pretty much every aspect of American society, and manufacturing is going down too. But those are the main things right now.
So let's start with your first thing on the economy. So the economy is right now is shrinking for the rich, right? So all your main guys in Wall Street, money is getting transferred to Main Street, which is middle class people that work with their hands are benefiting immensely. The construction industry there's so much confidence in that market. Yeah, you don't see it in Wall Street. In Main Street, everybody's like, hell yes, let's go. Billionaires are going to lose money. You speculate on the market, is what it is, your loss. He's trying to benefit the middle class. That is his stated goal of, we're going to benefit the middle class by putting these tariffs in. And I think the tariffs are just a negotiating point to get better trade deals, but his stated goal is we're benefiting Americans in the middle class. Your second point.
Well, let's stay on the tariffs really quick.
out-
I want to respond to the tariffs. We'll go point by point. So for the tariffs, right now, the input costs for businesses are going up. So the materials they need. If you look at 2008 and also 2020, like COVID, big businesses had enough money and resources to withhold the economic turmoil. Small businesses die from the tariffs. The middle class is affected. Companies right now are going to be cutting workers all across the country if this continues. Probably at recessionary levels, manufacturing included, because it's not going to make any money for them to be in business anymore in America. The tariffs are a tax on Americans and American businesses. There's no economic theory that says the level of tariffs that are here right now would work. Maybe 10% across the board would be fine. I still think that's a bad thing because it'll tax working class Americans more than anyone. But yeah, Wall Street is gonna eat from this. They're gonna be in a huge beneficiary position. And Trump, by the way, Google this later. He's meeting with like Walmart and Target and Apple, all of his big donors. He's meeting with them to give them exemptions. The small businesses are not gonna get exemptions. That did not have millions of dollars to give to his campaign. And also the final point, they cannot both be negotiating tactics and good for the middle class. And also they said it's good for revenue. And also, they said it's going to be like, it's going to bring back manufacturing. It cannot be all of these things. They're conflicting points. So all these arguments do not make like logical sense. We don't have to stay too long on it, but I would just say like try to find an economic analysis that's not even the best argument, but I just, in my opinion, if the trade is messed up, there's ways to do it that you can do without collapsing the economy, without that actually makes the people that are rich from the trade deals pay for bringing back American manufacturing through subsidies like the Biden CHIPS Act. I probably would support, but everything else about the tariffs is really bad.
So let me get this straight. So you just brought up the Biden CHIP Act. So Biden's CHIP. So tariffs are not a tax on Americans. They're a tax on companies that are importing to America.
Yeah, but sales taxes are too. Like sales taxes are taxes on the company. Technically, like it could still be. It's a transaction tax.
For sure, but it's a tariff is a tax on the person that's importing the product. So I import a lot of stuff from China, and tariffs do not affect the price that I pay, right?
No.
I can't physically give them money, right?
Give who money?
I can't give money to the U.S. government.
But they added on, like, so China, for example, if a company imports it, they're gonna charge whatever the import cost is, and like I would also reference that 88%.
Exactly. So you're going to go get your product from somewhere else.
88% of small businesses import products, but the tariff is 10% across the board for every country. So there's still a 10% tariff, even if it's not 154% or whatever it is from China. And if they're going to get it from somewhere else, it's going to be more expensive somewhere else. So small businesses are going to die from this that have very small margins.
No, they're not.
88% of small businesses import from somewhere. They have import materials.
For sure, 100%. Why? So if as a business, if I'm looking at it like there's competition in that market, those people that are trying to import stuff, they're going to find the cheapest option that has the best margins, and they're going to import the cheapest product. So the people that are trying to import they're going to keep lowering their prices and keep going into their profit margins until they can move their product. Nobody wants product just sitting there. So if everybody across the board has a 10% fee, great. That's awesome. The market is fair. Everybody has, and that's all Trump's trying to do.
That's tax on American businesses that import that stuff, though. It's still 10% tax across the board on anything else, too. And, like, China is the cheapest place to get this stuff at. You can love it or hate it, but also, like, right now, look at shipping from China. It reduced by 40% or 50% from China. But that means we're going to have a material. No, that's not good, because our economy is tied to China in such a way that we're going to have a material shortage in America, enough to create a Great Depression if this continues. Like I'm not even. We cannot get out of this without like long-term planning.
You're not even. You're not even close. You're so far off. Like you're so far out into whatever and thinking that Americans don't have the resources here. We do.
We objectively don't. We just do not.
Don't
I'm sorry.
need China. We don't need China.
We do. We in our current makeup, we do. How long do you think it takes to make one factory, for example, up and running, like a battery factory or a semiconductor factory? How many years?
Elon Musk built his gigafactory in Texas in like a year. So
those are not complete. Okay, it takes 3 to 5 years to get a factory up and actually operational. Okay, to move an entire supply chain, it takes a 5 to 10 year investment. So when we talk about for example,
I'm building a dairy factory, and it's about a year.
We're talking about mass level manufacturing, though. It's not the same as a dairy factory.
This is a dairy that processes 8 million gallons every 24 hours.
No, but we're talking about something like for cars, for example. Like a supply chain for cars will be at like 8 different points. You're not going to move the entire supply chain in one day. It's going to be much more expensive. And by the way, here's the big thing too. If you're going to have tariffs that change every day based on the president's mood, because he's so moody and he has so many tantrums, and like it's more about like an ego battle to him. If it's going to change every day, if it's going to change every day, investors are just going to withdraw their money because they know it's a temporary policy. They'll wait 1, 2, 3, 4 years if they really need to, because they're not going to take the hit. So if Trump's going to keep on changing it, and if he's going to say it's going to go down, you need actual long-term policies, because these investments are made in like 5 or 10 year windows. It's not going to be just like, oh, I teleported my factory this year to America. I'm just saying the simple economics of it.
Sure, but America has chip manufacturers in the United States. America has every manufacturing that China has. They just do it 50 times cheaper than we do.
We're not at operational capacity right now. We are not. It'll take us 10 years to get anywhere near operational capacity for chips, and maybe even more. Like we just started manufacturing chips. China's been doing that.
What about Intel?
And Taiwan. Yeah, but Intel is just moving more factories here from the Chips and Science Act. I know Trump's bragging about it, but it's the Chips and Science Act. These are all new announcements. They're not going to be operational until 2028 at the earliest. 4 years. We'll be in the Great Depression with these policies by then.
Look in Idaho. When is that one supposed to open?
I don't know the exact date of every single factory in America.
There's one of the biggest chip plants in Idaho that's going to open in like 2026. I think it's summer of 2026. So if in America, we have everything we need. We have rare earth minerals. Look at the Salton Sea. What did they find? Just like a shitload of minerals in there? Yeah, we haven't been able to process it. We're dealing with Australia. America will be so fine without China.
Okay, well, that's why the market's crashing, and also that's why the American dollar is becoming weak, and our bond market is really messed up, because countries are abandoning America. Companies are abandoning America because we're not a stable country right now.
No, we're stable. We're the most stable country.
Okay, so with rare earth minerals, by the way, we're 100% import dependent for 12 critical minerals, and we're 50% dependent for an additional 29 out of 50 identified critical minerals. The only minerals, like 5 out of 50 critical minerals we are sufficient for. We rely on imports for approximately 80% of our rare earth element consumption. China is the dominant supplier. Then we have like Taiwan, but China provides 56% of U.S. rare earth imports. I want you to understand, like, this is going to crash the American economy to Great Depression levels if these policies maintain. I'm just saying, like, you can disavow it all you want, but it's basic fact. I don't know what I can do to convince you. I don't know what I can say except to see reality. Trump's going to retreat on these because he knows it's going to kill the economy. Hopefully, actually, I hope he keeps it in place so people see what the reality is. I'm going to be honest. At this point, keep the tariffs in place. Let the American people see how disastrous this shit is. But yeah, I don't know what else I could say to you. Like, I don't know. You need actual like plans. You can't just have okay, on that point alone, when companies are making a 10-year investment, 5-year investment, do you see what I mean when I say through executive order, through the president's actions, it's not good to do like a tariff policy that can change every day, because a business wants stability. They want to know what the policy is going to be for the next 5-10 years. That's why Congress passing stuff is a big deal. Do you see my point there, where you need Congress to actually pass something for companies to adjust to it?
100%. I agree with you. And I'm not saying that, like, yeah, volatility in the market isn't good for anybody. But at the same time, with a $36 trillion debt, at some point, the check's got to bounce. Like, at some point, you can't just keep going down this road and funding nonsense stuff and printing money. At some point, you got to say, hey, we got to be either self-reliant or we got to stop. And I think most Americans know that, because most Americans understand, like, we can't keep going down this road.
Well, Trump is going to pass one of the biggest tax cuts of all time. He's going to increase the debt with tax cuts. They fired a bunch of IRS agents that went after high-profile cases. That's going to decrease revenue by $400 billion.
They go after freaking mom and pops for $400.
No,
Why
they
do you think
don't.
Yes, they do. That's all.
No,
they
the
do.
new
Why?
IRS agents were actually in a unit that went after the rich specifically.
They're
The department
the easiest target.
Okay, asshole.
Because
Listen.
you know why?
Listen. The
If you're
IRS
gonna-
agents they hired were the ones going after rich people, or the ones they fired are going after rich people. They don't need IRS agents to go after random people with $200. They don't give a shit about them. Okay, they don't care about them. I know people
That's
that
how they get
avoid
their
taxes
money.
every year for the past 220 years. They fired IRS agents that go after rich cases. Trump is passing tax cuts to lower taxes for the top 1% in corporations. And also, we're going to collect less in tax revenue because our economy's shrinking. So if you care about the national debt, Trump is not good for the debt. Trump adds to the deficit. He's going to keep on spending. He wants a $1 trillion military budget. You cannot care about those policies and also support Trump. It does not work that way. We should move on from the economy, though.
Okay. What was your next one? Immigration. So El Salvador. Where was that one dude from?
Which one? I don't know which one you mean. Which guy?
The one the guy in the news that everyone's making a big deal about. Where was he born?
You mean Avergo Garcia?
Yeah.
He was born in El Salvador.
Okay. Where did he live
In
for the
Maryland?
majority of his life? So, majority of his life, where did he live?
Well, he lived until 16 in El Salvador, and then he lived 13 years in the U.S., I'm pretty sure.
6 years in the U.S.
6
So,
years? Wait, okay, one
he
second.
was-
I might be
He
off.
was 30 years old. And 2019, he got arrested for human trafficking.
No,
for
that
6
wasn't what it was
people.
for.
He got pulled over in Tennessee for trafficking illegals from Texas up to Maryland. He had six guys in his truck, all of military age, and all of them gave his home address for where they were at.
He was
judge
here for
said, yep,
13 years. So first thing you're wrong about, he was here 13 years. You said 6.
Well, how long has he lived in Maryland? I don't know. 6 years.
I'm not sure exactly in Maryland, but in the U.S. he was here 13 years. Let's see. He was not arrested for human trafficking. That was not the charge. Let's see.
He got for a suspended license.
Okay. There were no charges filed for that. Why was he not involved in any charges if there was a issue there?
Well, there was suspicion of it, right? He didn't get deported.
Okay. So he's never faced any charges. He has no criminal record in this 13 years he was here.
Nope. And so
he has no criminal record.
He had a deportation order, right?
Okay.
And they said, okay, but he said, I can't go back to El Salvador because of gang violence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got withholding, so he could not be deported there, right?
Yep. And he got put on a plane and he got deported there.
No. So the court in 2019 they ruled he could not be deported to El Salvador. That was the one place it was illegal to deport him to, right? In 2019, that was the withholding status he got.
Yep.
Okay, so they could not deport him there. It was illegal to send him there. Okay.
Yep. But we're talking 2025, so that's 2019.
Okay.
So what happened between 2019 and 2025? El Salvador is not what it used to be, right? So the crimes went down. He has no reason to be in the United States. He gets deported. End of story. That's where he's from. I'm sorry that you married a lady in Maryland, but
Okay,
You
wait.
break
You're missing
laws,
a critical
you get
piece of
deported.
this. Okay, a critical piece of this. Okay, so when he got sent to El Salvador, it was still illegal. It
Yes.
was still illegal. Okay, do you agree it was illegal?
Why was it? Well, you have to tell me why it was illegal because of
From the
critical
2019
point.
withholding status. No, that was why it
And
was
why?
illegal.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
could not be deported to El Salvador.
Why
general.
couldn't he be deported to Why could he not be deported to El Salvador?
So the status he got would say that he's under. But okay, if you want to say El Salvador changed, it does not change anything about him being deported to El Salvador. The
I'm
court
trying to
ruling
get
was
you to
still
say
saying that.
He was a gang member, and the rival gang wanted him dead.
He escaped from the gang violence in El Salvador at 16, and he has no criminal record in 13 years, right?
I know, but he was a gang member. He didn't escape from it. The reason that he said, I cannot go back to El Salvador is because they will find me and they will kill me.
Yeah, because the story
he
is
is
that his
still a
father's
gang
business
member.
or whatever was trying to take his family's business and stole all of his family's money, and he tried making it to the U.S. so he could work and have a life. And if
No,
you want to
that's
say
not- that is not the case.
yes, that is
That's not-
literally
that's-
literally the case
that's-
that we're talking about.
That's
But we're talking about
that's
Abrego
what he-
Garcia,
that's
okay?
what-
When we're talking,
that's what he-
okay,
yes,
buddy,
Abrego Garcia, that's
Do
what
you,
he
okay,
said.
so it was illegal to send him to El Salvador with the 2019 court ruling, right?
Yep. Why?
Okay. Yes, because he said that he could not go back to the gang violence there, which he fled from. Yeah, that's the point.
No, it's because he was still a gang member, and the rival gang
No,
would
that
kill
is
him.
not what
That's
that's not what the
he
immigration
said.
judge. That's not what the court ruling says at all. No, it did not. It said that he could not go back to be
Yes, it
around
did.
the gangs because he get killed. Nope, it does not say he was a gang member. There's nothing saying in the court
Yes, it
documents
does.
he's a gang member. No, because there were accusations and it was never confirmed that he's a gang member. It's no court documents. You can go through them right now. It does not say that. Okay, it does not say he's a gang member, or they would say that they have no proof of him being in a gang other than the picture of his hand now. They would say that. The Trump administration would literally just say he was identified as a gang member in court. The judge never found conclusive evidence. So the accusations were enough to not give him permanent status or to release him on bond in the U.S. But what happened was he got a permit, a working permit. He was here legally on a working permit from that point. He had a permit renewed every single year. He met with the offices, DHS offices, once a year to get his work permit resubmitted. And he was here legally on a work permit. Okay? Those are all facts, what I just said.
100%, and that's fine, but he's still not a citizen, so his due process ends right there.
He did not even get an immigration court. Immigration courts are extremely quick. It's not the same due process as a criminal court or for an American citizen, okay? So he did not even get an immigration court because the Trump administration literally said it was an administrative error or whatever for why they sent him to El Salvador.
Yep.
But the issue with El Salvador as well.
100%.
Okay, the issue, but it was
They
illegal. It
admitted
was
that.
illegal. It was illegal. We were paying El Salvador,
it wasn't
and they did not
illegal, it
deport
was a
him, right?
mistake.
Okay, it was illegal. It was illegal. Okay, it was illegal. It was still illegal. Okay, so when he was sent to El Salvador, he was not just sent there, right? He was sent there to be in CCOT or whatever. He was there to be in the labor camp, in the torture camp, the torture prison.
Yep.
Okay, so that is not a deportation either. So first off, it was still illegal to send him to El Salvador. And second off, if you're going to send someone to a slave camp in El Salvador or whatever you want to consider that CCOT, then you need higher levels of due process versus a simple deportation. A deportation is much different under the Alien Enemies Act, which is a wartime law, is much different from a simple, that's like an abduction of someone with no due process. You need a higher standard of court to send someone to a labor camp somewhere versus deporting them to a third country or to their country of origin.
Well, why? They're not an American citizen. It doesn't matter. So let's say Bukele said, hey, I want this guy back.
So he was protected from going back to El Salvador. Still, the court ruled. The Trump DOJ ruled that he was prevented from going back to El Salvador in 2019. Trump's administration let him go. Unless if you think Trump's administration let a gang member roam in the community. Everything you're saying is not true.
Well, I mean, it's not Trump administration. It's local judges that are doing this, not Trump himself.
It was Trump's DOJ.
Oh.
It was Trump's DOJ in 2019. It was his DOJ.
But he didn't appoint that judge in 2019.
You don't think Trump would have used a gang member trial as any type of political fodder in 2019, and you don't think he'd bring it up now that they found that he was a gang member in court if that was actually the case, or that he admit he's a gang member in court? They would bring that up right now.
I think what happened was this guy saw a way that, hey, I can get out of this. I'm going to go to court. I'm a criminal. I know all the laws and how to get through things. I'm going to say I'm fleeing my country. I'm making money in the United States. if what I want to see happen with this is I want someone to go down there and I want them to say, are you MS-13? Because if he says no, MS-13 will kill him if he is. Because they're going to say, you betrayed us, right? He is stuck between, if he says yes, he ain't coming back to the United States. If he says no, he's dead in El Salvador, right?
The issue with this is if you put someone in the custody of a dictatorship, okay, and then anything can happen. They could literally threaten to take his life or whatever, because we don't know how to facilitate that in the U.S. We don't know, like, if we sent someone who might be innocent to a labor camp, which we sent, like...
But we also don't know how to deal with terrorist organizations either.
They are not a terrorist organization, okay, in
yes,
the gangs
in
the
the
U.S.
They are fully funded.
Actually, our U.S. intel came away that the MS-13 and also Tren de Aragua was not working with the government, so they could not be classified as terrorist organizations. That's just like Trump saying that because he feels that way. But like he wants to use the Wartime Power Acts on them.
Do you ever see that girl in Houston that they cut all her limbs off of?
No, but the issue is when we use terms like terrorist, when the government uses those terms, they're looking for an excuse to expand government power and to violate rights. The same thing with the war on terror with Afghanistan and Iraq. I'm talking about WMDs.
That was terrible.
But right now, they're calling the gangs terrorists so they can use the Alien Enemies Act and the Insurrection Act because they want to expand government power. And the thing right now is due process is not even someone's rights. It's more of a limit on government powers. It's saying that if the state is going to enact violence upon someone, they need to provide evidence in a courtroom. Now, that's different from a deportation, which you go to a deportation judge. It's a quick process, which, by the way, Trump is firing deportation judges. If he wants to get more deportations, he should stop closing them down, and Doge cut a bunch of them. They should hire more judges and pass legislation through Congress, but they don't do that, right? They want to use the wartime power for a reason because they want to be more authoritarian with it and violate due process.
No, because it's the easiest way to do it right now.
No, but it's not about the easiest way. It's about limits on government power. Our founding fathers, if you read the Declaration of Independence, if you read our Constitution, it's geared against what Trump is doing right now. That's why the Supreme Court ruled 9-0 against Trump when he violates due process. So when they're like, oh, we have no way to do this, there is easily a way to do it if they wanted to. They are purposely avoiding the real way to do deportations, whether you agree or disagree with it. They could pass laws and do actual work versus just signing executive orders and doing unilateral power. I'm just saying right now, I do not want to give the executive government more unilateral power to use state violence upon people, because how can they tell if they're going to illegally deport him when he's withheld from being deported to El Salvador? They can do that to an American citizen, and they already have detained American citizens for 10 days, 20 days. ICE has, because they do it indiscriminately. But due process is what makes you know if someone's a citizen or not a citizen or illegal or undocumented or asylum seeking or whatever. The government needs to have restrictions on it, and I don't want Trump supporters advocating now for overwhelming government power. Everyone should have a day in court, and there's nothing to say we can't provide that.
Yep, I 100% agree with you. I 100%. That is 100%. But where was this type of thing when Biden was letting all these people in? Where was
he didn't do anything illegal, though. That's the issue. He followed asylum laws. You could disagree with the policy, and I think he did bad on the border, but also he did not violate the laws. Like, that's an easy way to say that. Like, Republicans would have easily challenged that to the Supreme Court if there was something to challenge. Like, I guarantee you.
Sure. So the person that made that mistake of him not getting his that CIS meeting or whatever it was they call it, that person should be fired. It has nothing to do with Trump.
Okay, but here's the issue, though. We have the gay barber, right? We have the professional soccer player who was taken for a Real Madrid tattoo. That person was electrically tortured by electric shock in Venezuela, escaped to America to work his ass off here. He got deported or not even deported, abducted to this slave labor camp. We have the autism awareness tattoo guy who helped. No, he's not. So he escaped Venezuela, came through a legal port of entry. There are, I guarantee you can look this up. There are dozens of people who we know are innocent, who came to America the legal way, who they mistakenly identified as gang members based off tattoos and sent them to El Salvador super prison.
You're using the asylum as a legal way to get into the United States, and it's not.
Yes, it is. That objectively is the law. If they want to change the law or not follow international law, they can change the law, but that is under the law. They came through a legal port of entry seeking asylum with a completely legitimate claim, leaving a dictatorship to come to America to work their asses off. I want people who escape dictatorships to work their asses off in America. That's how America became a damn thing. Yes, he did. The soccer player, the autism awareness tattoo guy, these are in the gay barber. You don't think they came to America to work their asses off? That's how this country was made, with great people like that left dictatorships to make countries like this great. I want people like that in America. They left dictatorships. They want to be in a free country. I want those people.
For sure. They can go and they can wait in their spot in line.
They followed the legal asylum law through legal ports of entry. They came in through legal ports of entry with the legal asylum law.
Yep. But at any time, you can get deported. So it doesn't matter if they came in with asylum or not.
Listen. They were not deported. They were sent. Listen. This is a big thing here. So these people that fled Venezuela, okay, from a dictatorship who were tortured and they fled, they were not deported, right? They were sent to El Salvador, which is not their country of origin, to be in a slave labor camp. That is not a deportation. The state, the big government in America's power to send a person's body to El Salvador labor camps when it's not even their country of origin, just based off of the Alien Enemies Act. That is the reason the Supreme Court ruled 9-0 against Trump.
So have you read that ruling?
Deportations are different. And by the way, the ruling you're talking about, what you're about to bring up, is not the one I'm talking about. There was a ruling a few days before the one you're going to talk about, which they ruled 9-0 that the Trump admin was violating due process in these proceedings. You can find that ruling as well. But are you going to bring up the one where it was 9-0, like to facilitate or whatever?
Yeah. So, but it's still a matter of the law versus what people think about the law. So, if you come in and you say, "Hey, I'm seeking asylum from a dictatorship. I'm coming to America to work my ass off." That's all good, great. You come in, they find out, "Hey, ICE picks you up. I'm sorry, but we got to get people out of the country. You drew the short straw. Time for you to go."
That's not what happened, brother.
People,
No.
Okay. People,
I'm
what
sorry.
are you supposed
Again.
to do? It's not like Trump sat at his desk with
Okay,
the thing and
buddy,
said, "Hey,
we have to shut this down right now. You have to listen to this because this is authoritarian power that you are allowing in America, and we need to cut the shit out, okay? They are not saying deportations. That's a different process. That is legal. Hire more immigration judges. Hire more immigration courts. Fund those. Don't cut them like they're doing right now. But also, we are talking about them being sent to a slave labor camp, a torture camp in El Salvador with no windows in a tropic climate where they work until they are abused and killed. Okay, this is a different thing. This is worse than the death penalty. I'd rather get the death penalty than spend my entire life in CCOT. It's like we're talking about doing that. You're talking about deportations. We're talking about 20 million people. We are talking about right now, not 20 million people, which that number's off, but regardless, we're talking about people that ICE looked at their tattoos, said, "Hey, that's a gang member," didn't follow the law at all, okay, use autism awareness tattoos, Real Madrid tattoos, a bunch of random tattoos to send that person to a slave camp in El Salvador. A regular deportation would have been minimal compared to this. Right now, Venezuela looks like a walk in the park compared to El Salvador's ethics. It's insane that America's doing this right now. Yep. I don't think, but you have to stop doing this thing where you go back to a favorable argument for yourself, because this is American values we're trying to fight for. You're talking about immigration. I'm not talking about the same thing you're talking about. If you want to speed up immigration courts, do that, but don't send people to CCOT. You can still say that they're doing a really bad thing there. The Supreme Court stopped them for a reason. They brought an emergency order over the weekend to rule 7-2. I think 1 a.m. Over the weekend to say that Trump had to stop the deportations because it got so bad and the government's lying so bad. The Supreme Court, all three of Trump's appointed justices, in an emergency ruling at 1 a.m. decided to stop the administration in its tracks because they can't trust it, because they're tearing apart the Constitution so bad.
They put a pause on it and they said, "We're waiting for the other court to make a ruling on it." But so if
actually, they bypassed the circuit court, I'm pretty sure. They actually bypassed the court to give the ruling. No, they did not even hear it.
If you read the full ruling, they say we're pausing until this other circuit court makes it.
Yeah, but they would have waited for administrative reasons to wait until later to vote on it. But and that's why Thomas and Alito, I'm pretty sure, or not Alito, Gorsuch. That's why Thomas and the other guy, I forgot who else it was, dissented. That's why they dissented, is because it was at late at night, but they agreed. But it's very rare for the Supreme Court to come out on the weekend at 1 a.m. to give a ruling like this. Extremely rare, because they know they can't trust this administration.
100%. This not nothing to do with the Trump administration.
Yes, it does. That's why they did emergency, because they cannot trust them.
No, it doesn't. It has.
It literally does. It explicitly does.
No,
that's what it. Yes, it does.
Nope.
That's why they did emergency instead of waiting, because they did not trust the Trump administration to stop.
They said pause.
I promise, because the Trump administration violated lower court orders already. So the Supreme Court had to come in, because the Trump administration has been violating some federal court orders left and right. So yes, that is the explicit reason they did this rushed ruling, is because of the Trump administration not listening to federal courts. Yes.
so the violation of the is specific judges, right? So if, let's say, if a Trump wants to turn, hey, we're going to send a warship to such and such, does a judge come in and say, hey, no, you can't do that? That's not how America works, right?
If you're gonna take someone off American streets, an American resident, and give them no due process and send them to a slave camp, then everyone knows habeas corpus. Everyone knows the basic standards, but that's why they're doing this. It's not. But that's also the argument Trump made, right? No, American resident, a resident in America. Yes, it does matter because we can't give a tourist no due process and just kill them. But no, you are arguing for a dictatorship, bro.
That's murder. That's murder. So
yes, the government is murdering people. The government is murdering people by violating rights.
No,
that's what they're doing with the CCOP people. Yes, that's what they're doing.
The guy just went down there and visited with him.
Okay, you are isolating parts of this argument that make sense to you, that go with you. I'm talking about all the other innocent people that were here seeking legal asylum. That the ICE just said they were gang members.
238.
Yes.
238 people.
Yes, and 25% had a criminal records. 25% had a criminal record. 25% had criminal records. And we already have the stories of a few dozen people who were innocent that were sent there.
If there was an innocent person in that group, I would agree with you, but there's not. People can say whatever they want. Their wife can come out on the news and say, my husband's great. He's made a huge adjustment in his life.
That's the point here. The United States government should not have the power to take human bodies off the street without verifying anything. And by the way, they're already detaining American citizens. They're already detaining American citizens without verifying anything at all. Literally anything. They don't know if they're an American citizen. If they're not, look up ICE taking American citizens away. Look up ICE detaining American citizens mistakenly, saying that they're here illegally. American citizens. Look up those stories.
100%. Yep.
I just don't know why you trust the government so much. Why do you trust the government so much? You want to take a? Yes, you do. You are saying we should violate due process right now. Every person in America supported due process. Our founding fathers spoke that. You hate our founding fathers. You're against the concept of America. Yeah, you are.
Nope.
Objectively, you are. You're arguing against it. Yeah, you are.
So what's in your mind? If I make this argument. What's worse, 20 million? What's going to wreck America faster, in taking 20 million people that we don't know who they are, or putting 238 people in CCOP? What's worse?
The idea that the president can violate the Constitution for little to no reason, when you can't pinpoint one area in the country that has a higher crime rate from immigration, especially if you're going to say it's a national emergency and a wartime and a terrorist activity. And we're going to use the military and everyone to crack down on civil rights in America. That's going to crash the country way quicker than letting too many people in who want to do work. Yeah, the crime rate for immigrants, illegal or legal, have lower crime rates than American citizens. Nothing about them crashed our country. Nothing about them crashed our country. If you want to say it's an issue, by the way, I think the border was not good under Biden, but you can fix that easily with immigration courts. You could fix that without killing the Constitution. And they don't want to do it because they're either not hard workers, they're not good leaders, they're weak assholes, and they want to do illegal shit. They want to send people to CCOT because they think it's fun. Why are they being sent to an El Salvador prison, by the way? Why not have a prison in America? Why are they being sent to El Salvador?
Because it's too expensive.
But we're paying El Salvador what, $15 million? $15 million for 300 people? That's insane. Keep them in America. Pay Americans for it. Why are we sending money to a third world country?
That's not what they're paying.
Yeah, it is. Look up the numbers. $15 million, bro.
I've looked at it, and Bukele said it's like half of what it would cost to keep them in America.
Well, you're just gonna trust a dictator from okay, we're gonna trust El Salvador over the Constitution, bro? That's just weird that you realize you're arguing for a central American dictatorship in Central America, where Bukele himself worked with MS-13. By the way, he worked with the gangs. He just made the gangs the government. If you look up his actual track record, you're siding with El Salvador over the American Constitution. Like, what kind of position are you putting yourself in right now? Like, what is this current modern day politics doing to your brain, bro?
It's what is it doing to your brain?
Just think about it. Think about it. You are arguing for El Salvador. You're like, we should be more like El Salvador. We should be like Russia and El Salvador and violate due process.
Nope, not at all.
That's awesome.
I'm just saying, if illegal aliens have no constitutional rights, and so if Trump says you got to go, I'm sorry you drew the short straw. It's time for you to go.
Actually, illegal
And-
aliens do get rights. They don't get as many rights, but they do get rights because how can you determine if someone's illegal or not? You could just say people are illegal, then send them to El Salvador, and then once you do by accident, you could say it's a foreign policy matter, which is why they're doing El Salvador, because they want to violate the laws and find legal loopholes. That's why they're doing El Salvador, is to find legal loopholes and to get more authoritarian power. And you're okay with it because you'll follow whatever they say.
Nope, because
You're
you
a
know
government
why?
lover.
Because
You love government. You'll follow any government.
more-
You'll listen to
more
you'll,
government-
federal agents.
no.
I want to give the federal agents all the power. The feds should have all the power in the world to just knock down my door and take me out and send me to El Salvador. The Fed, you trust the feds. You're on the side of the feds with no
Nope.
courts and no due process. You're on the side of the feds right
Nope.
now.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying if you have the executive branch, and that's why the founding fathers were so damn smart and set it up this way. And you have the judiciary and you have the House, right? And executive can do, and he's encroaching, he's trying to find ways, right? That's all he's trying to do his job. Hey, I got to find a way to get these people out of here as quickly as possible. And they found a Aliens Enemy Act from 17, whenever it was, which I think is ridiculous. He should be able to just go round all these people up and get them out. But the judges have come in, they said, hey, no, you can't do this and you can't do this. They're working their way through it. That's how our government works.
Why are they firing immigration judges and killing immigration courts if they care about deportations? And not expanding it through a bill or something, like through Congress?
Congress does nothing.
Trump could tell Congress to do this today. They could pass funding for it, but he's not doing it. Why is he not doing it? Is Trump a bad leader then? Is he just weak?
No, if he went to Congress right now and he said, hey, guys, do this, look at the people that you have in Congress. You think any of them could? We do not have our best and brightest in Congress.
Joe Biden almost got more funding for immigration courts. Why can't Trump? This is his signature issue. Why is Trump so weak he can't do it? He controls the party. They control House, Senate, they control the Supreme Court, they control the White House. Why is Trump such a bad and weak leader that he can't get this done? This is one thing that he has somewhat of a favorable
he doesn't
rating
want to
on.
expand government.
He's literally expanding authoritarian power, like in government, through the executive
No,
branch, which is the most authoritarian thing you can do.
He's using his power that he has in his right now. If you don't like it, try to take some executive powers away from him. I don't know, but he's using his power that he has, and he's getting people out of here.
Well, he could do it legally, but he's not doing it. Why is he not funding immigration courts and working through Congress? It'll be easy for him. Even Democrats will vote for it.
Judges. There'd be more judges.
Yeah, that'd be good to have more judges. You know what? You know what?
No.
You know what about the American government that matters? More judges is a good thing, by the way. Having one person make decisions in the executive is bad. That's more of a king. We want more delegated government with more judges, more options for due process in the Fifth Amendment. That is the point of our country. That's why we have a segmented government with 3 branches that are co-equal. Yeah, that's the point of America. We did not want a strong executive. Our founding fathers were scared to make a president because a president could have too much power.
Are judges perfect then?
No, they're not perfect, but it's a way to limit government power. It's a way to limit authoritarian government power. Yeah, they're more anti-corrupt than just one person making decisions.
It's a way to expand it.
No, you're limiting government power because power is not within the hands of one person.
All you're doing is you're putting more
because you have a chance to present evidence. The president cannot just say, I think this person's a terrorist and get them sent to a slave labor camp in El Salvador. That's the whole point. We can have judges have a chance to present evidence.
Trump has never said that. Trump has never. You think Trump has time to go around and think? No, he's not. He's saying, hey, guys, you're a team. Figure out a way to get these people out of here. Trump doesn't have time to be dealing with people in El Salvador and people getting.
Trump literally had a picture of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, but I'm just saying this is not good. You're trusting the feds, random federal agents who lie their asses off all the time. You're trusting them over judges and a courtroom where you have a chance to present evidence. You're trusting the feds,
yes,
federal agents.
Of course,
you realize you are authoritarian. You hate libertarians. You hate liberty. You love authority.
Nope.
Yeah, you do, because you don't want a delegated government where power is spread out through people from our throughout a big complicated system.
It already is.
But you're saying that Trump should not go through the legal systems. But it's not expanding power, it's delegating power. It's making the government less powerful. If you do more immigration courts, you can do it through a legal way that does not violate our Constitution. Why not just do it the legal way where you hire more immigration courts? If you want to do deportation, that expands your ability to do it.
if the Supreme Court comes back and they say Trump violated the Constitution by deporting these people, then I would say, Trump, go get his ass and bring him back here. That's not what's happened. So Trump is doing his job that every other president has done. He hasn't gained more power. He hasn't done anything. All these laws have been on the books for years.
Well, you do know the last time the Alien Enemies Act, but the Alien Enemies Act was not used since the Japanese internment camps. You know that, right? And that was not a good thing. Like, it was never used for good things. It was always used for bad things.
Oh, yep. I agree with you 100%. But at the same time, if somebody says, "Hey, Jolah, you got to do this job," and you're like, "Okay, but I need to figure out a way to do it," and hey, there's this Enemies Act from 1762 or wherever it was from. We can use that, and we could probably get him out of here. And then a judge comes and says, "No, we got to look at that." That's how America works. If they find you did nothing wrong, it goes on.
It's like you have a nail. You have to pound a nail in, and you have a hammer. You're like, this hammer's too small. Let's get a jackhammer. And you're like, I'm gonna get this nail in the wall, but you just like you destroy the entire wall instead. Like, that's what's happening. Like, there's a way to do it. You could do it in a skillful way, but you're like, I don't know. Maybe he's just too stupid. He's a bad leader. He just can't pass any laws. I don't know.
So
he has a virtue signal instead, I guess. I don't know.
If you can get it done, it gets done, and it's better for America. I don't care how it gets done, but I'm just glad that it got done.
Well, okay, here's one big economic point. So, like, our revenue from travel from foreign countries and like tourism is dropping like 20 or 30%. That'll be hundreds of billions of dollars in lost revenue for the U.S. and U.S. businesses, and also tax revenue. That's dropping because our ICE agents are beating the frick out of people. They're detaining tourists at a higher rate. They're detaining American citizens. It's becoming a more hostile place to visit because ICE agents have zero leash as a direct result of the Trump admin. So, like, that being a hostile environment and the U.S. being known as a country globally that does not follow laws because Trump has been defying federal court orders and maybe even Supreme Court orders. We're going to see this week, maybe next week in the discovery period, if they can, fix some of these issues. I doubt they will. Considering they're going with the tariffs thing. But like, the other countries are not trusting the U.S. And we're losing global access to markets, less tourism, and also like the EU right now, they're sending their people to the U.S. with burner phones now. Usually you send people to countries that are authoritarian like China or Russia with burner phones. The U.S. used to be fine for personal phones. Now they're sending us, burner phones with their people. The U.S. globally, for the reasons I'm talking about, is becoming less trusted. And I guarantee you, that's why the dollar is losing strength. That's why our bond market's messed up. America is going to fall from this stuff. And if we don't follow laws, if we don't do things in a skillful way that actually makes sense, if we don't work through our actual institutions with checks and balances, America's not going to be trusted anymore. Because if we're going to have more of a dictatorship that's focused on executive power only, China's much more stable than we are. They're a manufacturing juggernaut. They have more high-skilled, they have larger pools of high-skilled labor and medium-skilled labor. We're not in a good place. I just, we'll see in the next few months. I appreciate the call, but I just don't think this is going in a good direction.
Perfect. All right. Take it easy.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Yep. Bye.
Man, he was fighting for his life in that conversation. I appreciate him calling in, though. I mean, I don't want to be too mean to him. I'm just like, thank you for $2. Does this caller have a tattoo? Deport him. Call ICE. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for all the likes and subscribes. Please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button so you can find my channel again. Thank you, Sri, for $10. Thank you, Sri. Thank you, Sri. My first night streaming in a while. I've had to take a step back from politics. I've been having anxiety issues, honestly. Not sleeping enough and having physical health issues from in-person politics too. I was at a school board meeting for like 3 hours watching them debate stuff, and they just don't listen to any fact. Like, they'll literally tell the treasurer that the numbers are not real. And I'm sick of talking to people that ignore basic reality. And it's making my brain die. And seeing it on the internet, seeing it in real life, and constantly talking to people who are in a cult is just so tiring. And doing my channel every night until 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. was hurting my personal life as well, my family, and all that kind of stuff, and my relationships. So I had to take a little step back. I am going to try to stream a decent amount, but definitely need to pull back a little bit. I'll take one more call for tonight. Thank you for all the support, all the likes, subscriptions, subscribes, all that kind of stuff. My TikTok hit 10,000 subscribers, so hopefully I can use that more, or 10,000 followers. I could be monetized soon. I need 100,000 views on there I'll be good. The best place to donate is Jolah Politics. Jolah Politics, JOLAHPOLITCS. Jolah Politics on Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. One of those 3 areas is the best place to donate. I appreciate you guys for the support. Thank you guys so much. We got a good 300, 400 viewers. 300, 400 viewers, man. My jaw's getting tired. I'm tired. Okay, one more caller. Good night, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. We had a good night tonight. That's America. Bozo. What's up, Bozo? Okay, someone that just call 808 number. You can call back again. I'll take your call. It's the final call. 808 number. I just refreshed my page. You have to do it one more time.
Call from.
Whoa,
JJ.
whoa. Hello, what's up? You're here.
What's up, man? I just Hello?
Hello, what's up, man?
Oh, okay. So, I just, just scrolled into your stuff, and I gotta say, you bring up a couple, great points. And I'm gonna be honest, like, listening to you have a conversation with some of these people is just not making sense because, okay, let's just get this out of the way. Me personally, I don't see Trump as like this super duper, like really, really bad person. Not to say that I don't disagree with what he does, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But you have to give props to props is due, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, I think how his administration has been going, especially in these last couple months, has been horrendous, and I think it's clear to see that, I don't see how people can be defending this, but this for, a lot of reasons. But one of the main reasons, that you can give props is his border policy. What he did on the border, no matter how he did it, obviously you've seen the numbers. It's coming down. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that I agree with how he did it with the militarizing it, but obviously it is coming down. So that's it. But so that's enough giving props to him. Some things that I hate or that I just don't like is his blatant disregard to our allies. You know what I'm saying? I can understand if what he's trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make America more independent, decoupling or making ourselves less vulnerable to China. Okay, now that would work out if we if we could like find a different way to get our manufacturing from somewhere else. Because I think the U.S. has like this naive, or us, we have this like naive idea that we're somehow going to start manufacturing clothes, shoes, all of this inside the U.S. I'm like, that doesn't make sense, because if you know anything about economics, the price of goods, the cost of labor, regulations, and all that, that the prices, manufacturing cheap goods inside the U.S. is not going to make sense. Now I can see like, hey, you know what? Let's decouple away from China. Let's become more independent. Okay, now why is he tariffing all these other countries, for example, like Vietnam? It just makes no sense. And I'm gonna be honest, especially another thing, his tariffs. I don't know how people are getting this idea that tariffs are gonna lower costs.
Well, he said so.
Let's just break it. No, yeah, let's just break it down. Tariffs, like you said, is taxes on the consumers. Okay, there's taxes on the consumers, which raises the price to match the incoming goods.
Yeah.
Cheaper prices for you. So basic. Okay, now that things are really expensive, you want the domestic product to be competitive. So the only way you can do is raising prices. So now everything is expensive across the board. Okay, you bring manufacturing back. Manufacturing's back now. You think that's going to cause prices to drop down? Nope. It's because, again, the cost, economics with the cost of labor, regulations, prices, just everything. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see how. I think the best thing that's in our interest, you know what I'm saying, is that, okay, keep the tariffs on China. Drop the tariffs on everybody else. You can't sit here and seriously think that, okay, tariff everybody and hope that, we have friends after this. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, okay, guy, I want you to help me out in our fight against China. Wait, if you want me to help you out, why are you over here attacking me? Like, it just makes no sense. And again, going back to the Abrego Garcia, I don't know if I'm getting his name correct. this has nothing to do with Abrego himself. Like you
Mhm.
said, and like you've been stated, it has to do with due process.
Yeah, definitely.
Due process. And I'm telling you, because I've been watching this and I've seen people like, no, it's because he's a legal immigrant or because he's a drug member or he says, look, he beat his wife. That's like, okay, you know what I'm saying? It has to do with due process, and that's the main thing that people are forgetting. And I'm gonna be honest, they, especially Trump's media or the people and how they're spinning it, is that all the Democrats are only here to help the illegal immigrants. You know, they're here to make sure and protect the illegal immigrants. They'll never do that for the own U.S. citizens. Like, no, this is due process, and it sets a dangerous precedent because you hope. Because I remember Joe Rogan even said this on his podcast. You know, saying Joe Rogan, the guy who vehemently supports Trump, he said like, this sets a dangerous precedent because what happens when Trump's not in power anymore? What happens? You know what I'm saying? What happens?
Yeah, I mean,
that
it's not even
you
just
have-
like if so like on the tariffs, Trump is such a liar. And he's giving exemptions to like Walmart. He's giving exemptions to Apple, huge companies that gave him money that donated to his campaign. And also the Trump meme coin stuff. Like he just said the top 220 people that donate to it are going to be at a special fundraiser, a special dinner with him. So you get special access if you pay Trump through meme coins, and that's untraceable. It's dark money. That's probably the biggest big money scheme president has ever done for himself to make himself wealthy. So all these things are crazy. And when he lies about tariffs, like no one's gonna. He still says that people don't pay the tariffs. Like he still says the other countries pay them, which is either he's dumb or he's lying about it. But you're right about, we actually about the trade deals and like our partners. The fact we're attacking Canada and Mexico, like we need them to be good friends to keep us safe, and like the EU. But I'll tell you why, and it's not gonna go well because, and also China. We got companies to move from China to India and Vietnam to evade China. That was one of the things Obama did, but Trump ended that. But I will say that Trump loves countries such as Hungary and El Salvador, and he really does like Russia. He's spoken kindly of North Korea before. He loves how they roll their people with an iron fist. He just does not like free countries. If the country's free, he doesn't like it very much. So even Ukraine, Europe, Canada, Mexico, there's something he doesn't like about democracy. Like unironically, like he's spoken a lot about this, and he loves leaders from these countries. You could say he's not like I don't know. It's complicated because I don't want to personalize it at all. I could just say through his actions, through the way he spoke about the Supreme Court, and he himself said on Truth Social today, due process should not exist, and we don't have an ability to do it. And I'm like, bro, if you don't have an ability to do it, why are you firing immigration judges and immigration courts? Like, you should be filling those up, funding those. It seems like you don't want to do it, and I don't want to hear the president use the words terrorist to expand government power to be more authoritarian. But it seems like that's his goal, because he could do it a legal way if he wanted to. He doesn't need to send people to El Salvador. If he wants to send people to prison, he can send them to prison in America. But the argument was, and this is the final thing I'll say about this, is the argument they were going with is once they illegally send someone to El Salvador to their prison, they said, well, now it's a foreign policy matter. We made a mistake, but now it's the state of El Salvador. It's their jurisdiction. So we can't do anything about it. Once we were over international waters, the judges in America could no longer say anything. So their argument, and this is what the dissent said in the Supreme Court case, essentially, or the one opinion, I forget if it was dissent or not. I forget which case it was. But if Trump can illegally send Abrego Garcia to El Salvador prisons and say, well, it's just foreign policy, and you can't roll on foreign policy, we can't bring him back, you can legally do that to an American citizen then, that you quote unquote accidentally send there. And what you said about just that being an abuse of power, read the Declaration of Independence. Like, read that sometime. All the things Trump's doing right now. One of the things is sending people to foreign countries for imprisonment, not giving due process. One of the things is giving a tariff. Like the tea tax that we did the Boston Tea Party over was essentially our tariff. Like, it's just like, yeah, the Declaration of Independence and Trump are boxing right now,
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean, and it's crazy. And I think the biggest lie that I was told, because I'm relatively a young guy, but the biggest lie that I was told was that, especially the right side, or especially Trump, is like, they do not care about, they say they're for law and order and all that, but they don't, you know what I'm saying? Or they're for small government. And I think the biggest, when it really hit me was when Roe v. Wade, And I looked at it, and it was funny because there's like, man, the big government shouldn't be taking the rights of the individual. And it was crazy because you had people on the right side, literally going on the streets cheering, like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, I looked back, I took a step back, and I was like, this is literally, and I mean literally in the most literal sense, the big government taking away rights from the individuals and giving it back to the government. And I was looking, and they was like, oh, no, that's not it. It provides more freedom for the individual. And I was like, how? And it's like, well, see, it's no longer the individual's rights, it's the state's rights. That's more free. And I'm like, okay. But see, after that, I understood. It's like, they don't.
That was the argument for slavery. Yeah, that's what they said for the Civil War, right? It's a state's rights for yeah.
Yeah. They don't care about, small government, and don't let these other guys fool you. Oh, I'm not in favor of small government. I mean, I'm not in favor of big government as long as the big government is going against me. Now that the big government's in their hand, oh yeah, let's get rid of due process. You know what I'm saying? Let's send these people. What? You want to send American prisoners? Let's do that. Let's do all of this as long as it's not affecting me. And again, I think it sets a dangerous precedent because what happens when Trump's no longer in control? And I'm glad you bring up a good point. If Biden or any other president did this, oh man, like if he did half of the things that's what Trump did.
I would be against it. I would be against it. Like that's why I see MAGA leaving MAGA. I see Trump supporters leaving Trump now because he's going so insane. And I see even Candace Owens going against Trump. And they're jailing like these green card holders who are like one step away from being a citizen, permanent residents. They're jailing them if they're students for being pro-Palestine, even if they don't criticize Israel. They're pro-Palestine, therefore they're anti-Semitic and un-American. Like the big government being able to send agents to your house with masks on and unmarked van to knock down your front door, and take you and detain you is insane. And you see the stories already. They're detaining American citizens, right? Like they're just because you're brown and you have an accent, they have detained I think over like 24 American citizens for 2 days, 10 days, 2 weeks. And that's unacceptable. And the same people that said COVID was like tyranny, they're like, oh well, if the government detains you for a few days, it's not a big deal. Like, what do you mean it's not a big deal? Like it's just wild how much trust they'll give in the feds if it's someone they like, And I think like big government and small government, the conversation gets kind of killed. It gets kind of lost because like, did you hear the last guy that was talking?
I'm not too sure.
He was talking. He said that like Trump doesn't want to expand immigration courts because that'll make the government bigger. But if Trump himself makes the decision, then it's okay because the government's smaller. But it's like big government versus small government, in my opinion, is a dumb discussion. In my opinion, it should be how much of the government do people control? Do the American people control versus corporations versus authoritarian power? Because our founding fathers made the government in a position that no one person or small group of people can make every decision. It was all separated with checks and balances, so we could not have a dictator. So like big government versus small government, I don't care about those conversations. I want to talk policy by policy. But the big government we should be afraid of, all of us should be afraid of, is if one person can say, hey, I think that guy's a terrorist. Therefore, he has no rights, and through national emergency power, we must jail them and suspend the Constitution, which Trump did call to suspend the Constitution for the 2020 election to take the voting machines. But like, using national emergency power, using the word terrorist to say, I am the president, I can just say that person's a terrorist and it's going to stick. And not only is it going to stick, but my entire team is going to lie about it. The DOJ will lie about it, the FBI, every government agency. Like they're trusting AI to choose who's going to get raided by the feds. It's really scary.
And then like another thing is like the fact that he keeps flip-flopping. And I think you bring up a good point about the policy, you know what I'm saying? We have no coherent plan of his policies, like how he calculated the tariffs. It's not, the actual tariffs that other people have on us. It's the deficit. And then you did the deficit, and then you did it like multiplied by 2 or divided or something. Did something with it where it's not the tariffs, it's the deficit. And again, even Ben Shapiro said this, the deficit doesn't determine whether something is good or bad. You know what I'm saying? Because when a big portion of when America had a surplus was during the Great Depression. Now, I don't know if you want another Great Depression, but me personally, I don't. So I wouldn't want that and get a surplus if and then just have a Great Depression with it. It doesn't make sense. And the fact that there's no coherence and even him attacking his own policies that he created during his first term. I've seen people saying, well, Canada is tariffing our milk 220. Well, no, because if you actually went into it, it's not, they're not tariffing 220. I believe it's a quota. It's a quota-based tariff that if the American tariff reaches to a certain point, that's when that 220% tariff will come in. The American quota have never did reach that, and that's to protect their domestic industry, just like how we protect our domestic industry by stopping China from shipping our cars. You know
Yeah, but China gives money to their companies. China directs money to build industries. Like when we did the New Deal, when we built highways and all that stuff, the government built the internet. You know, the government did all this huge stuff to allow America to be possible. China does that now, and China is living in 2030. We're living in 2000 with our technology and our infrastructure. I was gonna ask real quick. Do you ever watch Kyle Kalinske Secular Talk at all?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
You ever watch Kyle Kalinske on Secular Talk?
No.
If you want like a left perspective that's a little more like populist, I'd recommend him. He's a funny guy. Like he always says like, I think that Republicans are learning that they should not suck Donald Trump's nuts from the back. Like he'll say just like random funny stuff like that. I recommend Kyle Kalinske and Secular Talk if you want just like a progressive left populist perspective about these things, because I think you'd agree with him on a lot of points you're making. He's just like a funny guy, and also I don't like Andrew Schultz. I think he's annoying and his laugh is stupid on his podcast. But Pete Buttigieg was on Andrew Schultz's podcast Flagrant. That just came out yesterday, or no, actually it came out yesterday, 13 hours ago. I recommend watching that too. That's like a 3-hour interview to give another like more of a liberal, like centrist, like Democrat perspective. Because I think you'd agree with a lot of what they say, and I just hope we could take back the Democratic Party and make them, you put them in a position where they can make really strong counter arguments to what's happening right now. Because we can do all the things Trump wants to do in a real way. Like we can make it really happen. We can catch back up to China, but we gotta start as soon as possible. You know.
Absolutely, and I think that's where I'm gonna be honest. That's where the Democratic Party is like kind of falling. It's because fundamentally we agree with what Trump said. You know, we're too dependent on China. Absolutely, I agree with that. You know, our education is failing us. Okay, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? The border's wide open. Absolutely. Now, what we disagree with is how he's going about it. It's like, okay, our education is failing. Let's just get rid of education altogether. You know what I'm saying? Let the dumb people be considered smart. Let's do that. Or okay, we're just too dependent on China. Let's not be dependent on anybody. We're just going to tariff China. We're going to tariff everybody else. Let's just do that. You know what I'm saying? Cut everything off, flip a coin in the air. America's America. You know what I'm saying? And same thing with, with illegal immigrants. Okay, there's too much illegal immigrants inside here. Okay, let's due process and figure out a way how to get them
the difference there would be like so like Democrats tried passing a border bill, but Trump told Republicans to vote against it. That would have expanded immigration judges. It was a more conservative bill, but like the Democrat perspective is deport like illegal immigrants or violent criminals. But if someone's here for like 10 years, there's one story of Trump deporting a 10-year-old girl with brain cancer because her parents were like asylum seekers. They like overstayed a working visa, but she's 10-year-olds with brain cancer. They were working really hard to be in America. And he deported them. And I'm like, dude, if you overstayed a visa, like every president guarantees a path to citizenship. If you're a member of your community, you've been working your ass off. Like we do need people who are like that in America. And I don't want to spend money deporting them when they should have a path to citizenship. They never committed crime. People know them. They've been contributors to our communities. We have top researchers being jailed right now and detained from other countries. Like these top researchers, them coming to America is one reason America is so great. So like we should stop. Like only I think 30 or 40% of the people deported so far are actually violent criminals. So if we stop spending resources on deporting those 60% of people that are completely fine doing work in America, if we only spend resources on deporting violent criminals and illegal immigrants, if we switch our border laws to expand our capacity to handle immigration. And if we could have a path to citizenship for peaceful people who want to be in America to make America better, we could do this in an efficient way to get back on the right track to do things the right way. But the politics right now is a lot of just like angry. We want to hear someone yell about this and have very radical change. And I think Democrats are too boring, man. I think Democrats need a more angry, like we're gonna get this shit done message. Because like Biden just kind of drifted along with the wind, and there's some policies he did, like the Chips and Science Act. The Inflation Reduction Act with like green energy to help us catch up to China. But we just have Republicans who call it gay. They're like, solar panels are gay, and it just doesn't happen. They could just call something gay and woke, and it'll never happen. Yeah. So I kind of blame Republicans too for not talking about any real issues either. But I hope Democrats can come with a strong message, because I want Republicans to be different too. And one way is to change them is for Democrats to actually come out with a super strong message.
No, exactly. Like his current fight with the higher level education or the colleges. You know what I'm saying? He labels these schools as woke, as something that's so negatively bad. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of what these schools do, you know, just like with everything, is nuanced. You know, some of what they may do is bad. Okay, we can agree with that. But cutting everything out and just ripping everything out, it's almost like with a human body. I have a bad kidney. Do you say, oh, get rid of the body?
Well, you know what the issue is there, like the big thing, like we're giving them money. I think people assume we're giving universities money for like pronoun class or whatever, but we're giving them money for extreme research. Like that's one of the pinnacles of the American economy is our medical research and our scientific research done on college campuses. Like Columbia and Harvard, cutting funding from them is killing America. Like that's hurting our economy on the global stage. Like that's pro-America. We're paying them to do research, but they want to direct that funding to go to private companies, by the way. They want to take the same money that's going to Harvard and going to these institutions, and they want to give it to private companies, to their friends to profit. I think this is more nefarious. I think they want to steal more money from the colleges and give it to their donors. I think it might be a scheme to divert money to donors to do research rather than having colleges do it, which I really don't like the idea of. But yeah, the idea that we're like giving them money to do pronoun class and make new pronouns is just not it's not what the money's for that we give them.
And I think that's where we also fail, just as a society, is that we are unable to objectively take different point of views. We go around and we stay in our little shelters. You know what I'm saying? Like I know right now, you probably know that there's millions of deep right extremist conservatives that no matter what you say, you could literally show them with your eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like with Elon Musk doing his I throw my heart out to you. You know, you can literally show them with your eyes and like, oh, that's nothing. You know what I'm saying? And there's probably some same thing on the left. You know what I'm saying? And it's so hard because if people were to just take a step back and look at things objectively, they would be like, okay, you know, this is not, you know, it's a bit of a head scratcher. And again,
well, I think he did do that. I think he actually did do the Nazis thing just because of what he says on Twitter. Even if he was trolling, but he's also he believes in eugenics like the Nazis did, like genes and everything. Just look up Elon Musk billionaire breeding camp. He has a camp where he breeds himself because he thinks he's like a genetic specimen that should be replicated. He thinks he's a higher being of human. He does believe in Nazi eugenics, and his grandfather was a Nazi from Canada who believed in tech overlords taking over society, and he wanted to dissolve them. Look up Elon Musk's grandfather. He wrote a book about dissolving democracy to have tech overlords take it over. I'm not even kidding about this. Like, look this shit up. It's actually kind of scary. But other things I agree with you on, but not him. But he's a piece of shit. But.
Yeah, no, I agree because with the story, I'm just making like a wise remark. Of
I got you. Yeah, I got you.
It was just weird. And
yeah, like, who cares anyway? For example, he's a piece of shit regardless.
Yeah, but I did research into the Harvard situation, and then some of the requirements that he wants is weird because he wants people to sit in the classes and be like, on determining whether or not if this certain class has different point of views. Or
that's scary.
Right for different point of views.
That's scary.
Yeah, and then another thing, like he said, he wants to get rid of DEI, but one of the requirements or one of the things that he wants Harvard to do is admit more people with differentiating point of view, or i.e., he wants to admit more conservatives into these institutions. And the reason is because obviously with higher education, it usually comes with more liberal views. You know what I'm saying? Now he wants to be like, okay, let's get rid of these liberal view people and admit some of these conservatives. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, so you just want DEI, but for the people that you want. It just makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. And I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, that's the issue. Like
things that he's doing.
Like Albert Einstein was a leftist, by the way. Like Albert Einstein was an anti-fascist. He'd be considered like he fled Nazi Germany. He hated militarism. He hated authoritarianism. Albert Einstein was a democratic socialist, and I know he's brought up a lot, but Einstein was a democratic socialist. Like the greatest thinkers of all time usually align with more democratic positions, like in terms of just like free from militarism, like the military. The right wing, like you said before, they're all about small government when it comes to the economy, but they're like big government when it comes to the police. And they've always been. Like, look at Ronald Reagan. Like, Ronald Reagan was smaller government, but the police state and the crack cocaine, crack epidemic became a huge thing under Reagan, right? So, yeah, but like a lot of the top researchers are going to be more liberal leaning. It's just kind of how things are. And I know, I don't want to say that liberals just come to those positions more because there are a lot of things they get wrong, but it's just going to be how it is. And universities are not just going to hire some MAGA people just because they are forced to. But that is literal Like, that's worse than DEI, what they're doing. That's affirmative action. That's affirmative, like, that's literally quotas. That's a quota. Like, DEI, you can look at it in an equal way for equal opportunity employment, but there's no way to look at what Trump wants to do with them in any type of way. That's literally just the quotas and affirmative action, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't mean to take up too much of your time. But
No, it's good. This is my final call for tonight. I appreciate the call, though. I hope you're on the channel again. Hope to see you around.
Yeah, man. But just, I love America. You know what I'm saying? I don't want the worst to happen. It's just that currently looking, I was a little skeptical, because again, I don't hate Trump. Intrinsically, I don't hate him. I wish the best. I want, because again, if he fails, then ultimately America fails, and I honestly don't want that, because again, I'm young, and if I have a prolonged life, I'm gonna be living through the decisions that he's currently making.
Yeah.
But all I'm gonna say, especially the points you bring up about the economy, and our allies. Like I seen a video of China. It was I think it was a legislator or maybe a prime minister or somebody from not China, but Japan. And he was talking about America, one of our most staunchest allies, one of our most strong-hearted, people, and in somebody who's going to be vital in a potential conflict in the South Pacific, came out and said said something I believe to the line of, Trump is being like a bully, and then something about like how this is a kid, if you give into his bullying now, is going to say a dangerous president. And I'm like, yo, that's really it's just something that's scary. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I just hope that there's a plan, because looking from the outside in, just like you said, our bonds, the dollar, our allies, heck, even China right now in the global stage, people are looking at China.
They look better.
It's like, was this the plan all along? Our economy, dog.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate the call. I know it's getting late. If you look into Trump's actual business career, he did extort people for money. He made his money from marketing and reality television mostly. He actually lost money from what he got at birth. He inherited around $400 million. Take care of around $500 million. He inherited, and he's a failed businessman in every sense of the word. He filed bankruptcy multiple times. He got billions of dollars erased in debt. Like, he is very bad at what he did in business, and he is bringing that expertise to the office, and the deep state can't make him do good things anymore. So this is what happens when he's allowed to do his own thing. I'm just saying, like, a lot of the stuff, like even the worst reaction from the most radical resistance liberal, like, he's been worse than what they said. And I hope the same. I hope we don't fall apart completely. But my main thing is making sure we maintain a constitution. And the moment they attack elections or try to seize voting machines, I'm just hoping people are going to get in the streets and protest, because that'll be a key point. Or if they ever, if he defies a Supreme Court ruling, he needs to be out of there. Like, if he defies the Supreme Court when it's 6-3 in his favor, he's got to be out of there. But yeah, I appreciate the call, and like I said before, hope to see you around the channel again. Everyone watching, thank you to all the callers tonight. Please join the Discord. I'll drop it in the chat for everyone. Drop a like, subscribe, and yeah, thank you for the call, man.
Have a nice one.
All right, thank you too. All right, guys. Here's the Discord link for anyone who wants to join. Go in there and chat for a second. Peacock. More like a human warehouse. It's not a labor camp. It's a modern labor camp, like it's a modern form of it, because the things they're doing right now are not going to be the same as the labor camps of the past. But like, if you want to say the reason you're saying it's more of a human warehouse, it's because it's because it's in modern manufacturing. They're doing more modern manufacturing, but it's still slavery. It's still explicitly slavery with no chance of freedom. So yeah, it's a labor camp. If you want to say it's like a manufacturing labor camp, it's still a labor camp. You know what I mean? But yeah, thank you for the likes and subscribes and donations. Yeah, like I said, if you want to donate, Jolah Politics on Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App. JOLAHPOLITICS, Jolah Politics. Join Discord. Dropped it in chat, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I'll hopefully be streaming again tomorrow night around the same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, something like that. Keep it going. Thank you. I'll try. See if I mentally survive. But we need people in the government that don't pick a side. I don't know. I think you need to pick a side now. I think you need to pick a side. I see Republicans picking sides right now, to be honest. I have never met more Republicans leaving the party than I have in the past 2 weeks, so we need more. We need bigger numbers, though. Hey, you want to call? Call tomorrow. I gotta go to bed. Thank you for the call, though. I appreciate it. Gotta go to bed. Gotta have some limits to my sleep. Okay, guys. I'll be in Discord for a few minutes. Not corporate CEOs. Party of the people. Thank you for the stream. Thank you for watching. Drop a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Join Discord. Join Discord, guys. Thank you for the things. Subscribes. If you donate after stream, I'll say thank you tomorrow. But Jolah Politics on Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. You can also leave a message on there. Okay? But yeah, join the Discord, brother. No one joined the Discord. No one knew. We stream here when we can. Thank you for coming back to us. Thanks, Kate. Thank you for joining again. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. You gave out 10 bottles of estrogen today. Why did you not take all of them? The economy is tanking? Well, yeah. I don't know how to talk to some of these guys. I know how to, but I feel bad for them.
This asshole you're talking to now is such an asshole, it's unbelievable. Every time you put a fact out, he has half a fact that he comes back and you don't get it. Please get rid of him and talk to somebody worthwhile. Thank you for what you're doing, and God bless you and your patience. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the message. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot.
Hello, my name is Leo Romo. I called before just to shoot the bull with Joel, and I'm a Democrat. Totally. I had a good conversation.
You can call in sometime. I don't know who this is.
Yeah, how do you pronounce your...
The minute I decided to call you guys, all of a sudden my phone doesn't work, YouTube doesn't work. You are really Trump haters, huh?
The foreign agents are calling to take over the stream. Okay, guys, have a good night. Thank you for watching again. We're bringing back American manufacturing. How we're going to do it? Trump's going to sign an executive order. I signed a new executive order. It says, please bring back manufacturing. Guys, we are saved. I signed an executive order saying, China, you can't do that. You can't do that, Xi Jinping. My executive order says so. I told you. It's awesome. I love that shit. It's funny as shit, dude. You guys are funny. You guys are hilarious. You guys are funny guys. You're funny guys. Okay, have a good night, guys. Thank you for watching. Join the Discord and discourse. Showing your age. Double blind. Thank you, Vandred, Connor, Sri, Kate. Other ones. Other people. I don't know if you know Kyle. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Lynn. All the names I can see right now. In green. And blue. Jordan. Hello, Jordan. Thank you. Thank you, Jordan. You saw the title and thought I said Diddy is awesome. That's crazy. Wild. Alright, guys. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.